Will stage a major protest if the government doesn't give them the financial support they need. The Irish Road Hauliers Association met with the Minister for Transport last night to discuss ways to deal with record high fuel prices. Hauliers say they can no longer survive the rising cost of doing business. A cut to excise came into effect last night, which will see the price of diesel reduced by 15 cent and petrol by 20 cent per litre. IRHA President Eugene Drennan says truck drivers are prepared to stage bigger protests if they don't get better financial support.
It will be much of a lockdown. It will upset all supply chains and it will upset other industries a lot as well. So you just don't want us to be in protest, and nobody wants to have the outcome of it. But if we go, we want to have the outcome of it. But if we go to protest, it will be very, very, very serious.
There are calls for more armed garda in light of a serious assault on a member of the force last month. Garda Padraig Scott was found in a disorientated state, injured and covered in a flammable substance after he was attacked while on duty in the Black Lion area of Cavan on the 27th of February. The Garda remains off duty while he recovers from his injuries and the trauma of the late night attack. Donegal Councillor Michael McClafferty says the tools Gardaí currently have at their disposal are clearly inadequate.
The Gardaí are not equipped to deal with these situations because clearly society as such to a certain extent is gone mad, they're going crazy. The situation in Cavan with that poor Garda proved that. That can happen anywhere. It's time that the Gardaí, local Gardaí and all Gardaí in fairness would need to be looking about being armed there, because all they have at the minute is a bat. It's no better than a wee piece of timber you find about your house lighting the firewood.
Killybegs has seen a new lease of life as a result of remote working. That's according to Donegal Deputy Thomas Pringle, who was speaking in the Dáil in support of a Labour motion on flexible and remote work. Deputy Pringle says this way of working has allowed many Donegal people return home from Dublin and further afield, which they previously wouldn't have been able to do. But he believes the right to request remote work bill doesn't go far enough and more needs to be done so both workers and employers can be given that flexibility.
Remote working has breathed life into our towns again, and we have all seen the proof of this during the pandemic. My own town of Killybegs, which has for long been a picture of dereliction and abandonment in the commercial sector, companies have been doing well but the town itself has been declining, has seen a new lease of life with many new entrepreneurial ventures seen throughout the town, which is very welcome. It just shows that the great things people can do when given the opportunity and the flexibility to do it as well.
Weather now cold and frosty this morning with ice and fog in places, but this will clear to leave a largely dry and bright day with sunny spells and highest temperatures of 8 to 10 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
Streaming exclusively on Disney Plus. Disney and Pixar's Turning Red.
I'm Maylin Lee. My whole life, I've been making my own moves, and nothing's gonna get in my way.
From the studio that brought you Toy Story.
What's happening to me?
It's gonna be me.
I'm a gross red monster.
Turning Red.
You were so cute.
Sick. I've always wanted a tail.
A new original movie streaming soon.
Maybe I like this new me.
Exclusively on Disney Plus. Yes! 18 plus subscription required. T's and C's apply.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127. And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Another good morning to you on this Thursday, the 10th of March. It's just 4 minutes past 9. Welcome along to the programme. It's another busy edition of the 9 till noon show for you. Busy throughout all 3 hours, so stay tuned right up to midday if you can on this programme, and of course throughout the day here on Highland Radio. Our lines are open for you as we speak. Caroline's taking your calls on 07491 25000. If you want to comment on what we've got lined up for you, raise your own issues, share a story with us. WhatsApps and texts as well, 086 60 25000. 086 60 25000. Now, if you want to watch the show, hop onto our website, highlandradio.com, in the featured content box? Yeah, you can click that and watch the show in your browser, or go straight to Highland Radio Ireland on YouTube or Highland Radio on Facebook. Watch us there. Right, let's look at the newspapers. It's a Thursday morning, so always busy this morning, and lots of you out there will have spotted this, and it's reported in the Tyrconnell Tribune. John, of course, with his finger on the pulse. The government's miserly efforts, as he describes, to reduce excise duties on fuel were wiped out 24 hours ahead of the deadline, with hundreds of forecourts increasing their prices by as much as 20 cent. The cuts in excise duty came in at midnight on Wednesday. That's last night, of course. And it sees petrol reduced by 20 cent, diesel is down 15 cent, with green diesel cut by 2 cent. Now, on my journey, I didn't see this reflected, really, to be honest with you. Some places, the petrol and diesel, both 2.05, other places 1.99. I did spot one forecourt where it was down at 1.84, I believe, for unleaded, which does appear to incorporate the rate, but it's very hard as a consumer to feel any benefit from the prices remaining static from Wednesday to Thursday. In some cases, as I say, in others, I've seen an increase of 6 cent between yesterday and today. So if you take off the 20 cent on petrol, that's actually a 25 cent increase to us, the consumer. At the same time, you know, there's a rebate, not a rebate, but a reduction in excise of 20 cent on the petrol. Doesn't make any sense, does it? It's as if it never happened. I think most of you might feel that. If you feel differently, please let me know. But what are you seeing out there? You can be the eyes and ears, or particularly the eyes on this one. I'm sure everyone driving to work this morning who was driving to work or on a bus or walking had a look, took an interest in this. Last night at midnight, diesel was cut by 15 cent, petrol was cut by 20 cent. Are you seeing that? As I say, I see it. It's seemingly only at one place so far. Now, I only see 7 or 8 or 9 service stations, by the way. So my opinion's purely anecdotal, and I accept that. Well, the motoring public and the haulage sector said it was back to square one, while farmers said they're shocked that green diesel would only be cut by 2 cents a litre. Brendan McLaughlin, IFA chair in Donegal, said they expected to cut off at least 25 cent, and what they've got shows how much out of touch the government is insofar as farm costs are concerned. Right, the Donegal news this morning, bringing mother and children from Ukraine. A Donegal man has spoken of his heartache and pain watching thousands of refugees cross Ukraine's western borders. Paul McGlinchey from Letterkenny was in Burgasarani, a Hungarian village near the Ukrainian border yesterday. Paul and his wife Inga, who had just arrived from Budapest, made the trip to the Ukraine border to collect their friend Julie and her 2 children, Paulina and Kirill. Palma 13 is Inga's goddaughter. They're all pictured on the front of that paper, and the story is on the front and inside of it. The Donegal Democrat this morning. Google Maps should be the all-knowing geographic assistant that gets you where you need to go. But after some botched navigation in West Donegal, one local councillor says she has trust issues. Visitors and locals alike rely more and more on the Android app for plotting routes, finding businesses, scoping out neighbourhoods, booking hotel rooms and so on and so forth. But Councillor Niamh Kennedy raised her concerns at Tuesday's afternoon meeting of Donegal's municipal district. She said it appears Google Maps may be leading tourists to Gweedore in search of the highest sea cliffs in Europe, a Slieve League, which are outside Teelin, over an hour's drive or approximately 50 miles away. We're going to be speaking to her a little later on in the programme. It'd be interesting because a lot of that is user generated, and I would find myself relocating things in different places, and if you do it enough, you're sort of a trusted source to do so, particularly businesses. I've been to 5 or 6 businesses, and their actual location of the business was not in sync on Google, and you can suggest edits and then it's edited. It's user generated. Google aren't going to the Slieve League and saying that's Slieve League and dropping the pin. That is built with AI over time, and with those that contribute to it saying, no, this business is now such and such a business, and then it waits a while, then it gets approved, and that's kind of, as far as I was aware, how it worked. Irish Independent now, of course, they are, as all the papers are, headline, War in Europe, furious Russia bombs a maternity hospital, awful scenes. It's hard to see how Mirapol's children and maternity hospital could ever have posed a threat to Vladimir Putin. But yesterday, Russian jets bombed the hospital anyway, burying expectant mothers, babies and children under its rubble. After 2 weeks of fighting that has become even more horrific, Russia sank to a new low. Just after 5 p.m. local time, Russian warplanes flew over hospital number 3 in the centre of Mariupol and dropped at least one unguided so-called dumb bomb. Video footage and photographs showed the devastation and destruction the airstrike left in its wake. The Russians, of course, are stating that this was being used as an outpost or a base for Ukrainian soldiers, but the Ukrainian government are rejecting that out of hand. One side of the hospital suffered extensive damage. All of its windows were blown out and ceilings caved in. Parts of the building that took the worst of the hit were unrecognisable. And there's an image of a heavily pregnant woman being carried away by 5 men on the front of that paper. And it's that picture as well that dominates the front of the Irish Times. But elsewhere, the Dáil voted last night to approve the government's proposal to cut excise on petrol and diesel, but ministers and senior officials fear that the tax reduction will be wiped out by soaring price rises, and we know that's already happened. Opposition TDs complained that the reductions by 20 cent a litre for petrol and 15 cent for diesel were not enough, while the Minister for Finance, Paschal Donoghue, said the government cannot protect citizens and businesses from the entire cost impact we're experiencing the consequences of war, he said. But, you know, we did see yesterday the price of a barrel of oil drop $17, but will we ever see such? And now I know it's fluctuating, but the UAE made a comment as it relates to supplies. That satisfied the markets to some extent, and the price of a barrel of oil fell, but you just get the sense that we're not going to see that, are we? The cuts in excise, which will begin in August, will cost the Exchequer €320 million. Petrol and diesel prices in Ireland are at the highest level on record, with the current average just under €2 per litre. Average prices this week, spread over 12 months, will cost motorists over $1,000 more than it would have in 2020. But they say the average is $199. We're already seeing across this region anyway prices at $205 in some places, but as low as $184 in another. That's quite the difference. I don't know how that works as it relates to updating the board. If it's a particular brand of garage, who determines it? Is it the garage? I don't know. In the Irish Daily Mail today, the parliamentary offices of Clare Daly and Mick Wallace have been targeted by vandals after the pair voted against a motion condemning Russian aggression. So this is Clare Daly and Mick Wallace. They voted against a motion condemning the Russian aggression. Officials at the European Parliament in Strasbourg are investigating after Nazi stickers were placed on the offices of the 2 Irish MEPs and those of 11 others. The Independents for Change members were among 13 MEPs to vote against the European Parliament resolution, which also argued in favour of the speeding up of Ukraine's candidacy for EU membership. Ms Daly reiterated their position in condemning Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine and urged further diplomatic efforts to end the war. The 2 foreign secretaries, the Ukraine and Russian foreign secretaries, are meeting today. Hopefully, I think they'll probably be talking about how people, innocent civilians, can get out of these cities as safe as is possible. But we hope there has to be some sort of effort to come up with some sort of a solution, because we're only heading in one direction of traffic as things stand. China has also offered to mediate. They're very, very, very close to Russia, refused to condemn what Russia is doing, of course, and we'll be watching things very closely themselves. They are a superpower and probably have their own ambitions. So the sooner this all gets calmed down, very much the better. Not just in terms of, the price of petrol and diesel and grain shortage and all that kind of stuff, but the actual devastating global impacts this could have if it continues the way it's going in terms of its escalation. And then we'll be worrying about a whole different range of things if the worst were to come to pass. The Irish Farmers Journal, a multi-million-euro package to significantly expand the area of feed and fodder crops is in the pipeline. The initiative comes as input and energy costs continue to soar and animal feed supplies tighten. Strong supports for planting additional cereal and fodder crops this spring, along with increased incentives for multi-species awards and red clover, will form key planks of a government strategy to reduce Ireland's dependence on imported feed and fertiliser. In the Irish Daily Star today, and this is a question that I put to Colm O'Gorman yesterday, because it does seem to me, anyway, the way things are going with the language that's being used, because there's 2 ways wars are fought. Of course, it's on the ground, but it's also in the minds of people. And it seems very clear to me that Vladimir Putin, in the language that he's using, is covering himself in the event that he uses small yield nuclear weapons, that he can claim that this was the development of nuclear weapons in Ukraine. And that's what my fear is. And others seem to share it too. In the Mirror, in the Star today, Vladimir Putin could lash out with tactical nuclear weapons after becoming frustrated at Russia's lack of progress in Ukraine. America's top spy warned yesterday. CIA Director William Byrne said the Kremlin's military doctrine allows for the use of smaller battlefield nuclear weapons. Officials are increasingly concerned Moscow is desperate to accelerate the pace of its invasion after being confronted by fierce Ukrainian resistance. And, people talk of these stalled vehicles north of Kiev, but we don't know what his plan is. We don't know what is next. Everyone is supposing, but this could be all part of his plan. The Irish Mirror tells us that more than 10,000 generous Irish people have signed up to house Ukrainian war refugees, this according to the Red Cross. An overwhelming outpouring of kindness has seen thousands of people a day flocking to a government portal where you can register to provide accommodation. The numbers have rocketed since Integration Minister Roderick O'Gorman received details of his plan last Friday, growing from 183 to more than 10,000. The register is being run for the government by the Irish Red Cross, and a spokesperson told the Irish Mirror that they have been bowled over by their response. But as I say, we saw similar for Syrian refugees, but a lot of these places went out and they surveyed them and they thought it wasn't adequate and this, that and that. It might be different this time round because of the way we're looking at it. And finally, the Irish Sun today, Eamon Ryan has come up with his solution to the soaring petrol prices. He says motorists should slow down to save money. The Transport Minister told hard-hit drivers battered by rocketing pump prices to reduce speed in a bid to make their tank of petrol or diesel last longer. The Green Party leader made the comments at a press conference where Finance Minister Paschal Donohoe and Public Expenditure Minister Michael McGrath confirmed their excise duties on motor fuels were being slashed from midnight and so on. We've read about that. But after the news of the imminent excise cuts leaked, prices at the pumps increased overnight. I'd love to know why that is. I think that should be investigated. Minister Ryan was asked by reporters what worried citizens could do about mounting petrol price, diesel bills, and it was a loaded question. They knew the answer they were going to get. He didn't disappoint. He called on people to drive slower to save fuel. He declared everyone knows that the speed of cars affects efficiency. What do you think about those proposals? Are you going to slow down? What are you going to do? Or what are you doing to try and save money? You can message us 086 60 25,000 if you're looking through 2022 and you're saying to yourself, what can I do, or what will we be able to do to try and save money? Tell us what decisions you've made or what you've been looking at. 086 60 25,000, as I say, you can do so in absolute confidence. 086 60 25,000. What measures are you prepared to take to cut your expenditure this year?
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Mortgages now available with a personalised service from your local and friendly credit union. Email mortgage@letterkennycu.ie.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
See Andre Rieu with Highland Radio at the 3 Arena Dublin on the rescheduled date of Saturday, the 14th of May 2022. The package includes luxury transfers, accommodation on a bed and breakfast basis at the City North Hotel, and your ticket to the show, all for €275 per person sharing. A €60 single supplement applies. A €100 non-refundable deposit required to secure your place. Andre Rieu at the 3 Arena Dublin, May 2022. Call Highland Radio on 074 91 25,000 to secure your place. Go on, treat yourself.
All roads lead to Letterkenny on St. Patrick's Night, Thursday, March 17th. Enjoy a spectacular night of cabaret and dancing at the Clanry Hotel. Making a welcome return is the widely acclaimed Joe Dolan Show. Remembering Joe, starring Joe's brother Ben, nephews Adrian and Ray, niece Sandra, singing sensation Karen Carroll, plus members of the original Joe Dolan Band. There's no show like a Joe show, and always a sellout. So get your tickets now at the Clanry for the St. Patrick's Night Bank Holiday Extravaganza. Call 074 9124 369 or book online at showtours.ie.
Celebrate St. Patrick's weekend with a delicious meal from Dunn Stores. Enjoy 20% off Board Via quality assured Irish meat, like beef sirloin roast or unsmoked ham fillet. Pair your main with buttered Irish cabbage or salt and pepper baby potatoes. Then finish with sticky toffee layered dessert. Plus, with our 10 off 50 grocery voucher, you save even more, which means every trip to Dunnes Stores means better value. Dunnes Stores, always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used on next grocery shop of €50 or more.
Tune into Highland Radio daily for all the news, sport and stories that matter from across the Northwest.
You can also see more of it online at highlandradio.com.
Or see Highland on social media, Facebook, TikTok and Instagram.
Live streams, videos, playbacks and all the latest news and sport as it happens.
It's all on Highland's new look website at highlandradio.com.
Hear it on Highland, see it on Highland every day.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the programme. Onto it, we welcome Niamh Kelly, Policy Manager with One Family. Niamh, thanks for taking the call this morning.
Hi, good morning, Greg. Thanks for having us on.
Right, now tell us about this new research and its focus.
Well, our research is looking at contact between children and parents in separated families. These are families that we work all the time with. We have services supporting one-parent families and people who are parenting alone and sharing parenting throughout the country. And what we see is that there's no uniform approach to contact between parents, and there's no support or very little support and guidance for these parents. There's also, the same is true also for legal professionals. So some families, many families will arrange contact between parents and child informally between themselves. However, for other families, particularly where there is acrimonious separation or there's poor communication between parents, the courts can get involved. And even at that level, there's no guidance on what is in the best interest of the child or what should be set in place for contact arrangements. There's no uniform approach, so there's different things being arranged for different families. And there's not much data or information on what is happening at the moment. So this research aims to look at that and to provide that guidance. And part of the research is finding out what the situation is for parents. So we have a survey open and we're looking for parents who have experience of arranging contact or having contact arrangements for children under the age of 6 to take the survey and tell us what the situation was like for them. What were the good points, what worked well, and what didn't work so well?
Obviously, as you mentioned, maybe would those most likely to be experiencing a rough time of it be most likely to engage? And it's very subjective. I mean, are you confident you will get a very clear picture through this process, given the subject matter?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose we are looking at all different scenarios, but really I think those and I hear what you're saying about the kind of more extreme cases might be the ones you're more likely to hear about, but I guess they are the ones that are in most need of support as well, and they're the scenarios that we're most looking to put some structure around and really put the focus back on children.
Yeah, because you could have two people who were, say, for instance, together previously, both sharing care for a 5-year-old, and both giving you very, very different experiences of the process and how they think it's working and what's working for them and what isn't working for them.
Absolutely, and we want to hear both sides. We want to hear from mums and dads, and we want to also hear from people who may not have been in a relationship to begin with, and then also people who were together and had a separation during this time. We also want to hear from anyone who has experience of this age group and sharing contact and sharing parenting for under 6s, but maybe it's in the past. So we're looking for anyone who has relevant experience up until their child is currently 18 years of age. So if anyone has had this experience in the last 18 years, say, we would be interested to hear from them also. What we see in the courts process a lot of the time is that one parent has their views and wishes and another parent has their views and wishes. And what we really want to do is bring it back to the child and what's in the best interest of the child. So, the courts at the moment tend to balance what both parents want plus what's in the best interest for the child. And we really want to bolster the child's interests and examine them and see what guidelines can be put in place based on the experience of parents in Ireland. But also a core part of our research is looking at international best practice and looking at what is in place in other jurisdictions.
How different is what's in place here compared to what we would consider the best international practice?
Well, I think that fundamentally it's just having no guidance. In other jurisdictions, there would be.
Well, we don't have guidance. Certainly in the courts, there might be what some might feel are default positions, though.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose what we're seeing in the courts is that there is no default position. That what's being put in place.
But invariably, is it not the case that the child will generally stay with the mother?
Yeah, for a very young child.
So is that done? Not done via? Is that who makes that? If there's no guidance in that regard, as you say, there's no guidance. Well, who's making that determination? Is it individual judges just or whomever is arbitrating just feel that is the way things should be? I'm not saying that it shouldn't be that way, by the way, Niamh. It's just interesting when you say there's no guidance, but I think most people know the way it regularly plays out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think in most instances, particularly for very young children, the assumption there is that the child stays with the mother. And, it may be that when we develop these guidelines, that may be what comes out of it. However, there are also benefits for young children in having contact time with their other parents as well. And it's looking at that, looking at issues around their development, their physical and emotional development, their attachment, and taking all that into account and seeing, the guidance for a very young pre-verbal child might be slightly different than the guidance for a slightly older child under 6. So we'll be looking at all of that.
And in terms of, as far as I'm aware, this is not something I've looked into in great detail, but in terms of rights, there are very different rights, say, for instance, to unmarried parents between the male and the female. Is that being looked at? Is that part of this experience? In other words, if someone were an unmarried father and maybe they don't have the same rights as a married father in a separation, do you want to hear those stories if that is the case?
Yeah, I mean, I think that issues around guardianship are probably outside of the scope of this research, but we would be interested to hear those experiences, absolutely.
How can you remove guardianship from parenting?
Sorry, say again?
If someone is the paternal father, how do you separate guardianship from parenting?
I suppose they're different in the sense of one is the legal recognition of the parent, and the other is the kind of practical day-to-day play out of it. And we're really looking at the practical day-to-day piece rather than the legal right side of things. But I guarantee, and I'm sure parents will be raising those issues with us, and we will include them in the research, but they're not the focus of the research.
And if someone were to if someone were to take part in this survey, for example, and they believe there's an issue with parental alienation, do you want them to just say parental alienation, or do you want them to not necessarily use that moniker, but to explain their situation? Do you get where I'm coming from?
Yeah, well, I mean, the survey is on our website, so it's onefamily.ie. It takes about 25 minutes to complete, so it's a relatively in-depth survey, and there are lots of questions in there that explore those areas. So if someone does feel there is parental alienation or any other issue, there will be opportunity to outline that, but as much detail as people can give us. And
I think you mentioned at the beginning, but it's an interesting point. This is focusing on under 6s, but those who have been through this in the past are being invited to enter the survey as well, but the child has to have reached the age of 18.
Yeah, so I suppose we put the 18 limit just so that we're not looking, because so much has changed legally in, beyond those years, that we felt that if it was going back further than that, it might not be as relevant. The experiences might not be as relevant nowadays. So, yeah, we're looking for anyone whose child is now 18 or under and has had the experience at that particular period around a very young child. So it's 6 and under to take part.
Now, of course... Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we absolutely want to hear from mums and dads, and we encourage everyone to log on to onefamily.ie to take the survey.
With any combination as well, of course, I presume, so we get a really true full picture. I mean, obviously, from 0 to 6, this is what parents, some of it at least, is what parents believe the impact has been on the child. It's not practical, as opposed to try and find out what or to even be able to determine from a child's perspective the impact on them?
Yeah, I mean, obviously our survey is looking at parents' views, and we do ask about the impact on the child. Obviously, it is parents' views on the impact, but I mean, no one knows their children better than parents, so we do want to listen to parents' views on that. The other side of the research will be focus groups with professionals to seek their views, and then obviously a really in-depth research around what's happening in other countries and seeing what is in place in other regions. So I think part of I don't want to, I suppose, jump ahead in terms of research findings or anything like that, but certainly I think it's likely there'll be recommendations in the guide around how to hear children's views, even at a very young age, and how they can be gathered, and that particularly around the courts and that legal arrangements, that children's views will be sought. Yeah,
there's a few interesting questions, like even simple questions like how they view home, what is home, or stuff like that. I'd be fascinated to get other questions, because of it's the children that are the most important thing, of course. Niamh, finally, the final thing will be for you to remind us how people can get involved. But how might this impact the way we do things in this country? Will this be used, do you have a direct line into government and they will consider it? Is this used to lobby government, saying, look, we've done this research, this is where we need to be? What happens with the findings of this survey?
Yeah, absolutely. We will be lobbying on the findings and really making them available for people to use as well. So we are looking at developing a guide, so it will be a practical resource. And the focus of the resource is around legal professionals, judges, anyone working in the legal profession with families, and then also social care professionals who are working to support families through this time. But really crucially, we want this guide to be useful for families as well. We want families to be able to refer to it and use it, and to give them some support in what is oftentimes quite a difficult period in parents' and children's lives.
And if people want to, and you're encouraging them to get part in this survey, how do they do so?
They can go to our website. It's www.onefamily.ie, and the survey is available there. It's to take part in until the end of March, so the deadline is the 31st of March, and we'd encourage anyone who's interested to log on there and take the survey. Thanks
for your time this morning, Niamh. I appreciate it greatly. Niamh Kelly there, Policy Manager with One Family. A caller says, well done to Niamh from One Family for raising the issue of contact between children and their families. The lack of contact, often broken even against a judge's court order, breaches the children's rights. This is what causes parental alienation and damages children for life. I advise fathers and mothers who are experiencing parental alienation or estrangement to do this survey. Thankfully, the government is soon to report on this extremely important issue. And of course, there's more, it's not just children, mum and dads, but granny and granddads and aunts and uncles can get involved, be affected and impacted by it. Can you ask Greg about the children flying around Glengann and Culdaff on the main road on quads, no helmets on 3 or 4 of them on the one quad? We've heard nothing about this. I know there has been issues with young people on quads, and the Garda are very worried about it because there's quite a few very serious injuries and deaths as a result of quad bike accidents annually in this country. But that's something I just wasn't aware of until that listener raised the issue there. A caller says, I think it is foolish to be taking a census on the population of Ireland the first week in March because it's actually in April, sorry. But anyway, because in the weeks and months after that, our population could be increased by over 1,000 with all the refugees. So the census will not be a true count of our population, and then not another census for at least 4 years. Surely this census could be put back until September at least, and hopefully by then this conflict will be over. Well, you're more optimistic than I. It's not until April, I take your point, but presumably there are questions for each person in the household, and we'll get a sense of what the story is there. I know what you're saying, though, is you're saying it won't reflect the true population of this country. But it's another month away. We'll see. But I take your point. I don't think, though, I think you have to pick a date and take a snapshot in time. I don't think you can wait and sort of do it when you think you'll get the answers that you want. I don't think that's really the way census work. Greg Horrendous says the killings in Ukraine is horrendous and heartbreaking, especially so that at least 50 innocent children have been killed. But Putin is just using the invasion of Ukraine as his scapegoat to get an America and Europe to get at them. He hates them both. He's got bigger plans beyond Ukraine. It's a huge story, but in the very end, Putin and his allies will lose. That comes in from Mary. Of course, no, and the truth is, and I don't think the bottom line is that, you know, whilst Putin is using the Ukraine to get at America and Europe and to flex his muscles and maybe to follow on through with his bigger plan, Ukraine has been not used, I would say, but it's been useful to the West in its efforts to assert itself over Russia as well. Let's not forget that either. Right, okay. We'll be back with our next guest, 2 callers in fact, after these.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Mortgages now available with a personalised service from your local and friendly credit union. Email mortgage@letterkennycu.ie.
CarsIreland.ie presents When Car Buying Becomes Catfishing.
Oh, what's that smell?
I raise pigeons. I bring them in the back the odd time. They have a very particular scent.
It's horrible.
You'll get used to it.
Cars Ireland isn't just fast and easy. We only work with trusted dealerships, so you can find the right car without the unwanted surprises. CarsIreland.ie. Click, click, vroom, vroom.
Do you suffer from high cholesterol, menopause symptoms, digestive issues, anxiety, aches and pains, or a lack of energy? The highly trained team at the Natural Way Letterkenny can provide advice on natural remedies for a number of individual health issues. The Natural Way also has its own brand of herbal treatments to help fight fatigue, relieve digestive discomfort, maintain a healthy immune system, and alleviate common menopause symptoms. The Natural Way at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, your one-stop health shop.
Smith's Daleside offer a range of coarse and pelleted feed, including premium munchie ranges for lambs, designed to entice the lamb senses, increasing intakes and maximising performance. Call Smith's Daleside on 074 9171 300.
Hi, Raymond Sweeney here. If your vacuum cleaner has seen better days, call into us at Ben Sweeney Euronics for a look at the new Samsung Turbo Cordless Stickback. This lightweight, easy to control vacuum cleaner picks up fine dust on carpets and on hard floors. With a 40-minute battery life and a massive 150 watts of suction power, it is now available for €299. Ben Sweeney Euronics, Port Road, Letterkenny, and the shopping centre, Dunlow.
Ben Sweeney Euronics. We deliver, we install, we care.
Clarins Big Beauty Gift is now available at McElhenney's Ballybuffet. Purchase 2 or more Clarins products and receive a choice of 4 free beauty treats. Plus, with a third Clarins purchase, you will take home 2 deluxe size body products. So why not spoil yourself or mum this Mother's Day in store at McElhenney's or on mcelhenneys.com.
Central Auto Parts are now stocking Sunny, a water-based paint offering all up-to-date colours for all vehicles, and Celimix Commercial, the perfect paint for diggers, plant and machinery. Buy it today at Central Auto Parts, Portslink Business Park, Letterkenny. Find us on Facebook or call us on 074 9127 491.
And you're welcome back. So, yesterday we were talking to Catherine Berbersing. She's been labelled as Britain's strictest head teacher. She's the one who's insisting on silent corridors, timetabled loo breaks, who operates a no excuses behaviour policy. She believes that things have gone to pot in Britain and they're heading in that direction here in Ireland. Michelle was listening. Were you, Michelle? What do you think of what she had to say?
I was, yeah. I just wanted to say that I don't agree with some of the things that she said. I think some of the things did make sense. The thing that I don't agree with the most and that made me very upset was she said we shouldn't indulge children for the fact that they come from maybe poor backgrounds or immigrant backgrounds, or we shouldn't take into account their lifestyle at home. I have to completely disagree with that because you have to take that into account when dealing with children. You have to, I'm not saying make excuses, but that has to be taken into account for if a child hasn't done their homework, maybe there's a reason behind that. Is that fair to take that out on the child when the parents are doing their best? I just don't agree with that side of things.
Yeah. I kind of got the impression, Michelle, what she was talking more about those within the school itself. And, you know, it is not to say that perhaps they don't make allowances for situations like that. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but you're saying that really this vision that she has, it's not going to fit into the reality for a lot of families out there.
Well, I don't think so. I'm a one-parent family and I have 4 children ranging from 2 to 15, and there's some nights we're currently in a mobile home, and there's some nights where homework, just getting it done, isn't a reality because the younger ones are playing up, which means the older one can't concentrate. It is, and it's not just me. There's lots of other people in different situations that they all have things going on at home, and I think the school system in Ireland, I think, from my experience, does take that into account. And my kids go to a very good school, and the teachers are aware that I'm a single parent, and they're aware that there's limitations sometimes on what kids can do.
Yeah, they understand that and work with you on it.
Yeah, they do. They do. They're very good.
Just in relation to more of what she says, though, was about how they're taught. They're taught, facing the teacher with a strong focus on making sure that, if a student is struggling, that they're brought forward. And maybe in that scenario, you would have less homework, or the homework might be easier, because sometimes you might be able to feel that in schools there's a bit of learning and memory work, and then the students are sent home with the homework and no one has an idea how to do it. They're left to their own devices.
Yeah. No, I would agree with some of what she said, but when she brought up...
That hit a nerve, I think, didn't it?
It did hit a nerve, because it is the reality for many people that life just does sometimes get in the way, and no matter how much as parents we don't want it to, it does, and we all try our best, but sometimes there's going to be issues where the kids might not have, one of their shirts might get ruined, so it might take a bit longer, maybe a few weeks to save up to replace that shirt. That is the reality of living for some people, and for me and many other people are in that situation, and I think just her view on that really struck a nerve, as you said.
Yeah. And it's almost like walk a mile in my shoes and then see if you have the same opinion.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, and obviously you're looking at the cost of things going up and what might be ahead. Michelle, is it a big worry for you?
It is, definitely. Yeah, it is. You do look at things and wonder what am I going to cut back on now, and you try to keep the kids involved in activities and stuff as well, and
all costs.
You sort of think, will I have to then cut back on the activities in order to heat them over? Well, I mean, you have to make those decisions, but look, I suppose my kids are happy, and I'm lucky. I live in a really good community, and my kids are happy, and they're safe, and they're well, and they're enjoying life. So as long as I can maintain that balance, I'm happy with that.
Well, it sounds like you're doing a great job, Michelle. Thank you very much indeed, and I appreciate you sharing your opinion. I really do. Okay, we are going to go to Mick now. Hiya, Mick. Oops, Mick has gone. We'll try and get Mick back in a moment. He's talking about fuel prices. In the meantime, before a break, I'll take some more of your comments here. All research shows that having two parents parenting positively in a child's life is beneficial to a child's life's outcome. Indeed, of course, but breakups can be tough. And the reality is that sometimes maybe parents might put their feelings and what they believe right is ahead of the children. So ideally, of course, but the world doesn't operate in an ideal way. Good morning. As the Ulster Bank is closing in the next few months, it would be beneficial if you could discuss bank charges for the basic savings account and others, AIB, example AIB and Bank of Ireland. Right, well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll get the money doctor on at some point, okay? And we'll focus solely on mortgages then and bank accounts, savings accounts, current accounts. Would that be useful for you? We'll do that for you, no problem, if you're thinking of switching. A person wants to know why St Joseph's Hospital in Strathroy is not allowing any visiting still. She called Healthcare, who say the visiting should be allowed for 1 hour, 7 days a week. She and his siblings are currently being granted 30 minutes of visiting time on a Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Her siblings work weekdays, making it difficult to visit and have a quality visit with her parents. Visits are not in the ward, but in a side room. It's very distressing for both parents and families. Maybe someone from St Joseph's is listening and can explain that situation for us. A lady drove from Letterkenny to Buncrana and saw no reduction in diesel. Minus 2 cent petrol, 15 cent. Sorry, she saw no reduction. Okay. I maybe they haven't updated their boards. It would be very unfortunate if the day the exact time almost that these excise reductions were coming in, that the prices went up equal amounts. Yesterday morning, 8 a.m, diesel 186 at 4.30, diesel 199. This morning, 8 a.m, €204 per litre, 204 cent per litre. Thank you. So that diesel effectively, going by this caller, has gone up. What's 14 and 15? Has gone up effectively 30 cent, isn't it? 30 cent in the course of the day, and has completely gobbled up any increases. Okay. Our next guest with us just after these messages.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages with life cover provided at no additional cost. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Walk the line once again with the multi-award-winning Johnny Cash and June Carter tribute show Cash Returns. Celebrate the music of the Man in Black at the Struhl Arts Centre, Omagh on Saturday 19th of March. Limited tickets are available now at the box office. That's Cash Returns live at the Struhl Arts Centre, Omagh, Saturday 19th of March.
Is your water safe to drink? If your water tastes unpleasant or has a foul smell, it may be a sign that something is in your water. Brothers Tech Donegal provide a complete private well water treatment service using the best water treatment equipment to meet your needs. Or maybe you drilled a new well and the water isn't satisfactory. At Brothers Tech, their expert team will also service existing problematic systems. If you're concerned about the quality of your water, call Brothers Tech on 087 638 7057.
At Keeley Supermarket, we offer daily specials at our deli with fresh and delicious food to go. Avail of our butcher's weekly specials or choose from a range of healthy options and pre-packed meals, plus many more offers in store. We're open 7 days for your convenience. Keeley Supermarket, where quality and value is assured.
Buying or moving home can be a strange mixture of excitement and stress. So the last thing you need is worrying about conveyancing. Time to call McElhenney & Associates. They'll move that property transaction along swiftly, make sure everything's in order, and prevent any nasty surprises. Residential, commercial, leasing, or voluntary transfer. Call today on 074 917 5989 or find us online. We'll do the paperwork, you do the wallpaper. McElhenney & Associates Solicitors, Stranorlar. How can we help?
Don't forget to make inquiries about the fantastic offers we currently have across the range of Nissan and Kia, with PCP options available on all new vehicles. We have your new car sitting ready to go. To find out more, call iMotors Letterkenny and Malin today on 074 9134 or visit imotors.ie.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Thinking of a sun holiday this summer with the family? Fly to Alicante, Malaga, Faro, Mallorca and Milan with Ryanair. Ireland West Airport. You're flying.
Okay, so let's have a look at that weather forecast, and a cold and frosty start with ice and fog patches in places, but this will clear to leave a largely dry and bright day with sunny spells and just a few drizzle patches. However, it will turn cloudier later this evening, becoming breezes, light to moderate. Southerly winds increase, fresh to strong and gusty through the day. Highest temperatures of 8 to 10 degrees. Okay. Right, Claire O'Reilly's the proprietor of the Nesbitt Arms Boutique Hotel in beautiful Ardara. Thanks for joining us, Claire.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you.
Right now, it came up for discussion at a recent council meeting that hotels and yours and others, I presume, are losing out because there aren't enough electric charge points. So what is the background? Over what period of time are we talking here?
Well, probably over the last couple of months, Greg. You know, we've had a few cancellations, you know, due to the fact that we haven't got a charger in our draw. Now, I do believe there's one in the other towns, you know, in Glenties and in Killybegs, but we really need one in our draw. You know, apart from the bookings, the few bookings that were cancelled, like it's a no-brainer. We've been asked to be sustainable more and more every day. And those people that chose to buy the electric cars, you know, they need to be looked after when they visit our.
Yeah, and I mean, you know of 15 cancellations, but you don't know how many people were reviewing where to stay and simply looked away from our draw because of the lack of this facility.
Well, we can't guarantee that, but it certainly would be a very poignant point that we need to address to get the electric, you know, the charger into our draw so we can offer that service. You know, I mean, Ardra is a bustling town, and now we have the distillery, so there's going to be lots of more people travelling into it, and especially with the opening of the distillery this year. So why not look after them? Like, I mean, we're calling on the council to really give this their urgent attention, you know. So we need to look after those that have, you know, become more sustainable and bought the electric cars.
And more people are driving electric cars, and I think the basic expectation might be that wherever you are staying, particularly, I mean, Ardra is not a tiny place, you know, you would expect to be able to charge your car overnight while you're having something to eat or sleeping.
Absolutely, or even if you're only passing through, you know, the option should be there, like in every town, and it really. I can't understand why it's not there already, you know, and we really are calling on the council to, you know, install it and as fast as possible.
Yeah, okay. Listen, thanks very much for that. Claire O'Reilly, proprietor of the Nesbitt Arms Boutique Hotel in Ardra. You might get Claire back on to me. I forgot to mention that other thing, if that's possible. Claire will rejoin us in a moment because I wanted to mention something else. But we'll switch our attentions now to Stephen McCahill. I mean, you're going to echo, I presume, what Claire says. Is this an oversight or what do you think? It's hard to imagine Ardra doesn't have a public charging point for electric cars, Stephen.
Hello, Greg. Thanks for calling me. No, I was way back. I was on a committee a number of years ago, and they were looking at the time that Killybegs and Glenties units were installed. It was very much it was an experimental idea to see how it would work, and I had pushed very much at the time for it. As I'm in a tourist destination that really it should have been considered, but the opinion at the time was that it's all going to be rolled out very quickly, and this is in conjunction with the ESB and a section of Donegal County Council, but nothing has ever materialised since, and really, like, you know, like with all the pressure and the minister continually on about green environment, certainly there seems to be no programme, and that's the biggest worry. There don't seem to be any plan at the moment that I'm aware of, but there is a section in the council, and for the life of me now I can't remember what section, but there is a section that should be dealing with that, so it'd be worth having a word with them on that.
It certainly would. And also I wonder, in the People's Transition Study on Ardra, the promise of it was to map the problems, listen to the public and find solutions. I presume at some point, now this is not connected to the council as such, but I see at one point people were saying, well, we've nowhere to charge our vehicles. If you lived in Ardra, would you buy an electric vehicle? Unless you were getting a home charging point, and you probably wouldn't, Stephen.
Of course you wouldn't, because, you know, you've seen it. I've seen Prime Time doing a programme on it there recently, and really, you know, if you can't get service, I mean, people can't afford to be sitting waiting for somebody that's there at one stand and you can't get at it. Like, it really needs to be laid out. Like, how could we buy a car and go to Dublin? We can't get serviced on the way, or you have to sit and wait for somebody. It's just not practical.
No.
So there's no kind of point, ministers, in that pushing this green agenda until they actually set the framework. We really need a framework in place before we can move. And certainly, Claire's right. Like, that is a concern for Claire and others here in the tourist sector. And I've found it in the pub myself that people have said to me that, look at, you know, well, where's the nearest station? And, you know, it's come up now more and more in the last while, I noticed.
Of course. More and more people are moving, and particularly with hybrid, because, you know, especially the plug-in hybrid, it is what makes the car as economical as the companies claim.
Yeah, and you know yourself, like, if you talk to any of the car sales companies there, any of the sales people, they'll tell you that look at the electric car is probably not as efficient or as viable as it will be over the next couple of years, and that's why we're all holding off on the electric cars we see. But I mean,
that being said, the sales are growing all the time, and they would grow even quicker in this part of the world if people felt that there was some security for charging.
Exactly. That's the point, Greg. That's the point. Like, that's the reservation that I'm sure you have and I have when I think about it. Well, where the hell am I going to get a service? Like, if even on the route to Dublin, and the whole infrastructure needs to be put in place. So, and something needs to be prioritised.
We should be talking about, you know, there's three charge points in Ardra. We need 6. We shouldn't be talking about there is none, and who's responsible, and the council need to get on this.
What saddens me slightly was that I would have been involved way back at the early days, about 2000, maybe at 10 or 2000, and it was the thing that was coming through, and like I would sort of said, like, why was Ardra left down? They said, don't worry, it's just a matter of time. We're just experimenting here with Glenties and Killybegs. But it needs more. It needs more in Glasgow too, and it needs more in Killybean.
Of course, and particularly, notwithstanding what's going on with the international markets as it relates to the impact on fuel, but we are being taxed out of petrol and diesel, and you can only be taxed out of petrol and diesel in a fair way if there is an alternative. So in other words, the taxation is there to drive you to electric. Now that's fine. I don't know if it's fine or not, but my point is the people of Ardra are being taxed, but they're not being offered, all people from other parts of the country coming to Ardra, they're not being offered the carrot for the taxation stick. Thanks for that, Stephen.
Thank you, Greg.
Take care of yourself. Thank you very much. Sorry, I was a bit premature, Claire, because I wanted a quick word with you just to mention what's happening on Friday night, if you don't mind.
Yes, this Friday night, we normally have a steak night, every Friday in Ardra, but this Friday we're donating 50% of all our sales of food and beverage to the Red Cross in aid of the Ukraine appeal. So just let people know, Friday night, steak night, 50% of all sales on food and beverage is going to the Ukraine.
Well, that's very generous. So if people fancy a night out, they go to the Nesbitt Arms. Every time they make a purchase, half of that goes to the charity?
Ukraine.
Right,
yes,
okay. That's
this Friday night,
Okay, that's really significant. Okay, well done, Claire. Thanks for that.
Thank you, Greg.
Take care, all right.
Bye-bye now.
086 60 25,000, WhatsApps and texts to that number. Give us a call on 07491 25,000. I heard on tonight's show that you burn the same in terms of driving slow. Isn't it illegal to drive too slow to cause accidents? TDs are going to be insulated via their hefty pay, but wait, what didn't happen? They got their drivers back. Okay, yeah. So they don't fill up themselves, let alone how much they know, let alone they don't know how much a pint of milk is. It had to be rushed through the doors, so they're on their 2-week St. Patrick's Day junket. Eamon Ryan was asked, should we lose weight too while driving? He said that's one other mode of mechanism that can be aided. Right, I didn't hear all of those comments that are being attributed to the minister there. This government is not in touch with reality. They've never faced making the decision between food, fuel or paying a bill. Something has got to change. Another, I drove to Galway this morning and the entire way no cut in prices was implemented from midnight last night, yet they can implement the increases immediately. Another, we are still not getting the money for the fuel and the electric. Another, I pass a petrol station every day. Yesterday, petrol and diesel both at $1.99 a litre. Today, the same price, no change. That's the report that we're getting from right across the region, that people aren't seeing the reductions. Greg, I've noticed last night some petrol stations upped their prices before the reduction came in at midnight, so it's only buttons it came down. A controller or whoever needs to check this out. It'd be interesting to see too how much, if you are part of a chain, are those prices decided locally, or is there a diktat comes down from the company? I don't know how that works. As I say, maybe someone who was involved in the industry or might be able to help us out with that information. Okay, but listen, people woke up this morning thinking they were going to save 15 on diesel, 20 on petrol per litre. What we're getting this morning is that simply not happening. But we're open to correction, and if there's a full quote out there that feels they're being doing a disservice, get on to us and we'll enhance it if you've implemented it or were able to implement it, or maybe you can even explain why there was an increase prior to this excise cut so we can understand, because in the absence of that information, people feel that something unfair has happened, and that very much may not be the case. We're not presuming that. Back after the news at 10 and the obituary notices.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Need a new part for your Ford car or van? Why not call to OMS Auto Parts in Buncrana? With a massive stock of Ford parts, you're sure to get the part you need. Free next day delivery on orders over €50. Call 074 936 1924 or shop online at omsautoparts.ie.
For great fuel deals, contact Gortley Sales and Hire. Large sacks and trailer loads of logs. Also briquettes, coal, kindling and gas with free delivery locally. Contact Gortley Sales and Hire in Letterkenny on 9126276.
Is the appearance of your staff important to your business? It's the first point of contact for customers when entering your premises. At C&M Embroidery in Letterkenny, they have a huge range of clothing covering all areas of the workplace. It's widely known that customers warm to and trust employees that present themselves well. Have your company name embroidered or printed on all your work uniforms. Contact C&M Embroidery on 07491 28097 and get your staff looking their best.
I am Teresa Hudson. I'm a firefighter, advanced paramedic. There are still too many people dying on our roads. These are needless and preventable deaths. We all share the road. However you use it, please be careful and keep each other safe.
Together, let's save lives on our roads. A message from the Road Safety Authority, your local fire and rescue service, and on Garda Síochána.
Should have gone to Specsavers. That's what the ads tell you. But for some people in India, it's not that simple. Imagine having no eye tests or glasses. You couldn't work, so you could lose your home. I'm Lisa from Specsavers, and I'm proud to help the Hope Foundation provide eye care in Kolkata. Specsavers arranged for me and my colleagues to go there and do eye tests. To date, we've given out over 11,000 pairs of glasses. Find out how we're changing people's lives for the better at specsavers.ie.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, I'm Michaela Clark with the news at 10 o'clock. Russia's invasion of Ukraine will top the agenda at a meeting of EU leaders in France today. Taoiseach Micheál Martin is attending the two-day summit along with the 26 other heads of member states. They'll discuss the growing humanitarian crisis, a greater common defence strategy and Ukraine's request to join the EU. Shona Murray, Europe correspondent with Euronews, says Europe's reliance on Russia for energy will also dominate discussions.
Two other sanctions will be Sberbank and Gazprombank added to the SWIFT sanction list. So those are the two Russian largest banks. But the problem is that the reasons why they're not on the list for SWIFT, to be removed from the SWIFT financial messaging system, is because that's how EU member states pay Russia for their gas.
Truck drivers say they will stage a major protest if the government doesn't give them the financial support they need. The Irish Road Hauliers Association met with the Minister for Transport last night to discuss ways to deal with record high fuel prices. Hauliers say they can no longer survive the rising cost of doing business. A cut to excise came into effect last night, which will see the price of diesel reduced by 15 cent and petrol by 20 cent per litre. IRHA President Eugene Drennan says truck drivers are prepared to stage bigger protests if they don't get better financial support.
It will be much of a lockdown. It will upset all supply chains and it will upset other industries a lot as well. So you just don't want us to be in protest and nobody wants to have the outcome of it. But if we go, we want to have the outcome of it. But if we go to protest, it will be very, very, very serious.
The chair of the Regional Health Forum West is warning that COVID-19 is having a serious impact on Letterkenny University Hospital. The hospital is currently dealing with 70 infectious cases of the virus, with a number of wards converted into COVID wards. Councillor Jerry McMonigal says the spread of the virus is having a knock-on effect on the delivery of other services in the hospital. He's appealing to people to once again be mindful in a bid to prevent further pressure being put on the hospital.
If the staff are also being affected by it, then we're going to be losing doctors and nurses and ancillary staff at the hospital. So I just ask people to be very, very careful. COVID hasn't gone away, and ask people to continue to follow the guidelines that were always there around washing our hands, wearing masks where we think it's important to do so, because we need to stop the spread of this virus. If we do that, then the hospital will be open again to all the services.
There are calls for more armed Gardaí in light of a serious assault on a member of the force last month. Garda Padraig Scott was found in a disorientated state, injured and covered in a flammable substance after he was attacked while on duty in the Black Lion area of Cavan on the 27th of February. The Garda remains off duty while he recovers from his injuries and the trauma of the late night attack. Councillor Michael McClafferty says the tools Gardaí currently have at their disposal are clearly inadequate.
The Gardaí are not equipped to deal with these situations at hand at the minute, because it's clearly society as such to a certain extent is just going mad, they're going crazy. The situation in Cavan with that poor Garda proved that. That can happen anywhere. It's time that the Gardaí, local Gardaí and all Gardaí in fairness would need to be looking about being armed there, because all they have at the minute is a weapon. It's no better than a wee piece of timber you find about your house lighting the fire with.
Keeley has seen a new lease of life as a result of remote working. That's according to Donegal Deputy Thomas Pringle, who was speaking in the Dáil in support of a Labour motion on flexible and remote work. Deputy Pringle says this way of working has allowed many Donegal people return home from Dublin and further afield, which they previously wouldn't have been able to do. But he believes the right to request remote work bill doesn't go far enough and more needs to be done so both workers and employers can be given that flexibility.
Remote working has breathed life into our towns again, and we have all seen the proof of this during the pandemic. My own town of Keeley, which has for long been a picture of dereliction and abandonment in the commercial sector, companies have been doing well, but the town itself has been declining, has seen a new lease of life with many new entrepreneurial ventures seen throughout the town, which is very welcome. It just shows that the great things people can do when given the opportunity and the flexibility to do it as well.
Weather now cold and frosty this morning with ice and fog in places, but this will clear to leave a largely dry and bright day with sunny spells and highest temperatures of 8 to 10 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with an update again at 11 o'clock. Until then, good morning. The obituary notice is for this Thursday morning, March the 10th. The death has taken place of Michael Doherty, Glasgow. Michael's remains will repose at his sister Donna's residence at Derry Herif, Dunfanaghy tomorrow evening from 6 o'clock. Funeral from there at 11 o'clock on Saturday morning to Christ the King Church, Gortahork for Requiem Mass at 12 noon. Interment afterwards in Gortahork Cemetery. The funeral mass can be viewed live on MCM Media Gortahork or on the Kieran Rorty Funeral Director Facebook page. The death has taken place of Gerard Coleman, Jerry, Cara Ray Curry, County Sligo, formerly of Palmfield Upper, Bala Adiran. House open to family and close friends. Remains reposing at St Therese Funeral Home, Curry Village, Curry, County Sligo, this evening from 5 until 8 o'clock. Funeral Mass tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock in the Church of the Immaculate Conception, Curry, followed by burial in Bonacrana Cemetery. House private tomorrow morning, please. Family flowers only, donations in lieu of flowers to Aware, Sligo and Shine. The death has taken place of Josephine Doherty, formerly Kilmacrennan. Josephine's remains will arrive at St Eunan's Cathedral, Letterkenny at 6 o'clock this evening to repose overnight. Requiem Mass there tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock, which can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. Interment afterwards to New Lex Cemetery, Letterkenny. The death has taken place of Winifred Wilson, née Callahan, Mullany, Burt. Her remains are reposing at her late residence. Removal tomorrow morning at 10:15 to St Angus's Church, Burt, for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock, followed by interment in Burt Cemetery. Requiem Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. The death has occurred of Paddy Houston, Clonclala, Clohan, Donegal. Paddy's remains are reposing at his late residence. Funeral leaving his home tomorrow morning at 10:30 for Requiem Mass in Our Lady of Perpetual Succor, Glenfin at 11 o'clock, with interment afterwards in Kilty Vogue Cemetery, Glenfin. Requiem Mass can be viewed on the parish webcam. The death has taken place of Mary Teresa Hepburn, née Peoples, 21 Castle Grove, Rafo, formerly Mountain Top, Letterkenny. Teresa's remains will repose at her late residence from 5 until 10 o'clock this evening. Funeral from there tomorrow morning for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock in St Eunan's Cathedral, Letterkenny, followed by burial in New Lex Cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed on the church webcam. Family flowers only, donations in lieu to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member. The death has taken place of Kathleen McLaughlin, Bill, née McClure, Mahara Moore, Carndunna. Her remains are reposing at her home. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 10:30, going to the Church of the Sacred Heart, Carndunna, for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock, with interment afterwards in the adjoining graveyard. The death has taken place of Lily Henderson, Drumcarbet, Malin. Lily's remains are reposing at her home. Funeral Mass will take place tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock in St Mary's Church, Lag Malin, followed by cremation in Lakelands Crematorium, Cavan. The death has taken place of William Willie Burke, 290 Rosemount, Kilmacrennan. Willie's remains are reposing at his late residence. Funeral from there this afternoon for Mass at 2 o'clock in St Columbus Church, Kilmacrennan, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only, donations in lieu to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member. Funeral Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. And the death has occurred of Patsy Doherty, 23, Gamble Park, Spalmount, Castlederg. Funeral from his late home this afternoon at 12:30 for Requiem Mass at 1 o'clock in St Francis of Assisi Church, Drumna Bay. Interment afterwards in St Mary's Cemetery, Carncorn. The Mass can be viewed via the parish webcam. The house is private to family and close friends. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
It's not just a sewing machine. For Maya, it's a chance to give her family a better life. It's not just a way to make a living. It's a chance to give her daughter an education. Like thousands of mothers, Maya lives in fear of what the future holds for her little girl. And it's not just. This Lent, your love can make all the difference. Visit trocra.org or call 1800 408 408. Trocra, until love conquers fear.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
And you're very welcome back to the programme at 10 minutes past 10. A caller says, is anyone else peed off? Sorry, I had to be careful because it's a swear word and I read it. Is anyone else peed off with people calling to doors late in the evening trying to get people to change electric companies? This should stop at 6 o'clock, give people peace. But I suppose maybe some might feel that you have the best chance of catching people at home after 6. Not everyone's at home before 6. But I take your point. Yeah, it's not just those companies. There's other companies out doing it as well. But it's people out trying to make a living at the same time too. Presumably these people are local people. That's their job and they're on commission. And you know what? It doesn't take me long to open the door and say, I switched recently, or give me the details, or indeed sometimes take them up on their offer. It's everyone, I suppose, it's up to individuals. Maybe put a sign on your door saying no cold calling. Maybe that might help you. Greg, this government's not helping ordinary Irish citizens, more interested in foreigners. Okay, I don't know really the basis of that, but that's what they say. And other fuel prices at the forecourts have passed this morning are all at the least $1.99 a litre for both petrol and diesel, the same as they were yesterday morning. Some places were dearer last night than yesterday morning, so that discount could be absorbed by the multinational fuel businesses. Fuel 1779 and 1769, a typical lazy solution by the government. Just like the first flat rate COVID payment, people working 1 or 2 days per week got the same payment as people working 5 days per week. Another, only 2 forecourts between Fanet and Derry have reduced prices as far as I could see. The price displays are mainly electronic, so could be changed in less than 5 minutes. So that is no excuse. Thank you for that. Morning. The person who delivered the census form asked me how many males will be at home on the night we fill in the forms. How can we give an answer to that? Then the person had to scan my answer. What's that all about? I don't know. If anyone has an insight into that, it's a quite specific question. But the whole idea of the census, it's who's in the house on the night, isn't it? Not who you think might be, because you could fill the census form in that day if that were the case. We all have to cover our own expenses, so what's different about politicians? Well, you know, if you make the rules, you make the rules that are going to work best for you, aren't you? And that's what it is. The rules are set by government for its members, not government, but for the Dáil itself, its opposition, everyone that benefit from it. So, you know, of course, they're not going to vote for reductions, are they? It's like the turkeys and Christmas, you know yourself. I just wanted to point something out. Heat and fuel prices at the minute, impossible on a low wage. We are struggling. We're just surviving. Everything I have is budgeted, but I have stopped going anywhere unnecessary in my car at all. Less shops, less shopping, once a week only. That's not helping the economy. More jobs, more people affected, but that's what this is doing to people. And the local oil company I bought from forever has lost my business in heating oil and coal, because when the announcement made to lower, they hiked the price instantly to take the hit and make more profits to fill their own pockets. I don't want... I mean, obviously, I would be very interested to speak to someone within the industry, sort of, they could explain this. I just don't want us to be sort of presuming that oil companies... I mean, they have to buy the oil in, but they just buy it in on a bigger scale. You know, we heard, speaking to the guy from the agri company yesterday, he buys his oil in... his diesel in at 20,000 litres at a time. He has to buy that, and then he has to make money in doing the work for farmers. And I presume the oil companies are on that, but on a larger scale. They have to buy it off someone and then sell it on and pass on whatever those increases are. I don't know how it works. But I just don't want the default position until such time as someone explains it to us for me to presume that, there's a bit of gouging going on. Right, okay. But listen, thank you very much for your comment. Greg, without taking any away from the poor, unfortunate Ukrainian people, I just find it amazing how quickly things can move in this country when there is a will to do it. The other things are bogged down with reports, reviews, wonder where we're all going to put all these people that we're going to be taking in. This will not be a temporary situation, as they could be more for a few years. We'll have to build some sort of accommodation, as they can't stay in hotels forever or in a room in people's houses, and there are only so many hotel rooms in the country. We are apparently taking in 100,000 people. Well, apparently there is talk as well of temporary villages as such. They go on to say, I wonder what the micro-affected people and homeless people will be thinking as they see all this going on and there's still no farther forward. Well, I would imagine that they understand that their fight continues, but we can't really leave young children, can we, at the border saying, no, you can't come in until everything's fixed here, because if that were the case, we'd never be able to help them. Right, if you would like to win a brand new TV, it's a 50-inch LG Smart TV, so it's a good sized TV. What's the Smart TV mean for those of you who don't have one? Well, it means that it's got apps built in. So you can watch, Netflix is already on your TV. Obviously, you have to subscribe to it. Amazon's already there. The RTE player is already there. Amazon is already there. YouTube, there's an app for that as well. Facebook Watch, where you can watch programs like this, that's already on your smart TV. All this stuff is built in. You can cast to it as well. Not necessarily like a Chromecast, but a Mirrorcast. Lots of different... You can hook it up to your smart speaker if you want and switch your TV on or off, or increase the volume up or down. That's what a smart TV is when we call it a smart TV. Well, we've got a 50-incher, and I can almost see it. Yeah, I can see it from where I'm sitting here. It's a 50-inch LG Smart TV, LG, a decent brand. And it doesn't cost you anything to enter. You could be with a chance to winning it. How do you do so? Well, you go to our Instagram page. We want as many of you to go and enjoy our Instagram page, because we're putting more and more content up there. Informative stuff, fun stuff, information about shows. You get to meet the presenters and see them, as well as, listening to them on the radio. It's to have you be more part of all of this as well in different ways, if that's what you want to do. So we're trying to encourage you to get involved that way. So if you want to win this LG Smart TV, all you have to do is go to our Instagram page. That's Highland Radio Donegal, so it couldn't be simpler. Now, you follow the page, okay, so you click follow. You like the post that's flogging the TV, and that's in the stories. It's being put up regularly, okay, so you'll see it. You like the post, and you tag a friend. So we hope that your other friend then will also like our page. That's how it works, okay? And then you share the story to your story, so more people see it. You get it? And that's what we're doing here. So the winner then will be announced on this show tomorrow at around about 11:30 p.m. AM. I ain't on at p.m. At 11:30 a.m. So if you want to be within a chance to winning, it doesn't cost you anything. It's just a couple of clicks. And also, too, what we want you to do is experience sort of the shows and the people and the content in different ways as well. So go on to Instagram, Highland Radio Donegal, follow the instructions, and you could be winning that beautiful TV, which is right here now. So whoever wins it can pick it up straight away tomorrow morning at 11:30. Right. Good luck if you are playing the bingo today. It is jackpot day, so hopefully someone's going to win big.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Thursday, the 10th of March, Jackpot Day. You're playing for the jackpot prize of €5,000 on the pink sheet. The reference number is S9, it's game number 10. The jackpot number is 32. This number can come out in any position from the next 10 numbers drawn. And now, here are your daily numbers. 23, 74, 61, 71, 66, 1, 37, 11, 85, and finally 33. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features, delivered with the same local, trustworthy service of your credit union.
Win with low prices from SuperValue. With great offers like SuperValue Fresh Irish Cowboy Steak, save 33%. Epic! Selected corporate fillers like Nestle cereals, Kenko coffee and Coke twin packs, any 3 for €9. Super! And Heineken 15-pack cans, only $25.45. Winning! Win with SuperValue low prices. Enjoy alcohol responsibly.
Is your water safe to drink? If your water tastes unpleasant or has a foul smell, it may be a sign that something is in your water. Brothers Tech Donegal provide a complete private well water treatment service using the best water treatment equipment to meet your needs. Or maybe you drilled a new well and the water isn't satisfactory. At Brothers Tech, their expert team will also service existing problematic systems. If you're concerned about the quality of your water, call Brothers Tech on 087 638 7057.
Farmers to be paid to increase fodder supplies. For more in your Farmer's Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
As costs on farms soar, Minister to seek multi-million euro emergency package for farmers. Farmers will be paid to grow red clover and multi-species swords. Plus new supports for tillage farmers, and we reveal what your cap payment will be in 2023 and beyond.
And don't miss 6 pages of analysis on what the war in Ukraine means for Irish farming. Inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal, on sale now.
It's been described as the best steak promotion in Donegal, and it continues every Saturday at Kelly's Diner in Letterkenny. For just €11, you get a succulent 8-ounce Irish sirloin steak, cooked to order and served with all the trimmings, including a choice of different sauces. It's available from 3 every Saturday, so why not treat yourself this weekend in Kelly's award-winning diner at Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. We're joined on it now by Deputy Thomas Byrne, Minister of State for European Affairs, and we're speaking ahead of a meeting in South Donegal a little later today. Good morning to you, Deputy. Thank you very much for joining us.
Morning, thanks very much for having me on.
It's good to have you on. Now, just a couple of things, and obviously I want to get your views on what's happening in Ukraine at the moment, but one of the measures that the government has taken to try and ease the burden on the public is a deduction in excise to reduce the cost of fuel to the consumer by 20 cents for petrol and 15 cents for diesel, and to a much lesser extent on green diesel. Now, I don't know what's happening in your part of the world, but none of us up here are seeing any of those reductions. What's going on?
Well, I had a look this morning, and we've seen, in my area, I've seen some reductions in some stations, but I have to say in other stations I'm very disappointed with what I saw yesterday, which is, quite frankly, gouging has been going on, and I really hope that the Competition and Consumer Protection Commission will be looking at that. That is
Are you
wrong.
calling on them to do so? Because you've described this as gouging, and you're a government minister. So
if there was any agreement or any concerted practice by petrol stations to do this outside of the normal price fluctuations, that's a criminal offence, and that can't happen.
Well, also, there's 360 odd million euro, right? That is falling into a black hole. It's your responsibility and the government's responsibility to immediately find out who's benefiting. Where is this 360 odd million going? This is a matter of absolute urgency, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. There's no question about this. But the situation in terms of the way the oil price is changing, it's changing all the time. It's going up, it may be coming down slightly, it goes back up. And that price is completely outside our control. We have some control over excise duties, which we can leverage at times. And we've, generally speaking, governments have been reluctant to reduce excise duties because there's always the risk of this type of gouging. But let's be clear about this, and I want anyone who's made any phone call about this, or who has spoken to anybody agreeing or deciding to do what other people are doing, it's a criminal offence, and it can't be done. And I certainly would be calling on the Competition Authority to investigate this if people are doing this in a concerted fashion. This is not allowed, and it has to stop. And it is of deep concern to the government, and should be investigated as such if that's what's going on.
Well, I'm driving past garages, and it's 5 cents more expensive this morning than yesterday morning. I'm not sure there's that level of fluctuation. I mean, we saw oil drop €17 a barrel. I mean, can someone explain to us, the consumer that's getting hit by this, why price increases happen immediately, price reductions don't seem to happen, and that garages can, for one reason or another, increase their prices? One garage had to have increased their price between last night and today by 30 cent, because it's gone up 15 cent since the same time yesterday, and the 15 cent reduction or 20 cent reduction in excise.
That's complete gouging if that's happening. It's not justified by market prices. Certainly it's there yesterday. And if it's happening, as I said, in concert with any other garage, if people don't make individual decisions about this, it's a criminal offence.
So as a legislator, what commitment can you give listeners today?
Well, the commitment I have is that it is against the law to do that under competition law if people are doing it together, and that the Gardaí can actually investigate breaches of competition law if that's what's happening. Now, I have no evidence that there's agreements or concerted practices, but if there are, it is illegal. And it certainly looks like there could be among certain filling stations, because others, I have to say, there are some who haven't done that. Now, what I will say is, though, that obviously the price of oil globally is outside our control. We don't have any oil wells at all. And it is going to be very, very difficult for the Irish government and for any government in the coming weeks and months if this crisis continues. I mean, Joe Biden was asked the other day, what can you do about the price of gas, as they say over there? He basically said nothing, because effectively it's to do with this conflict and the tension that Putin has been ratcheting up for quite some considerable time. So the government has some levers at our disposal. We used one of those levers last night, but the limitations of that lever and any price reduction that you talk about in terms of excise duties, there are limitations to that. And we've seen some of them already that your listeners and anyone driving around the countryside would see. So that's the reality that we're in. There are energy experts there who are giving, I think, very good advice on how we reduce consumption of fuels. I know people are already doing that because of the high prices and are already watching things, but you know, those things can help households. Right?
Well, Eamon Ryan's talking about, he's urging people to slow down, that, and he is obviously a Green minister and a senior partner in government. Do you think the advice to public should go beyond one of the top three in government saying people should slow down?
Well, look, that applies on some roads, absolutely. I'm not sure it applies in Donegal because you don't have motorway in Donegal, but certainly on a motorway, there's a massive use of fuel between 100 and 120 kilometres an hour. So if you're using motorways and you slow down to 100, there's a huge reduction in fuel. I don't know whether the same rationale applies on country roads or national primary roads where you're going at those lower speeds. Undoubtedly, over 100 kilometres an hour on motorways certainly uses up a huge amount of extra fuel. There's no getting away from that, and people might sneer at the advice sometimes I've seen on social media. That is a fact. I can't extrapolate that to country roads or the normal day-to-day driving that most of your listeners are doing.
Yeah, well, it's not a case of sneering at it. I think it's just maybe people are looking for... I mean, he was set up by the question, I will concede that. But I think people just expect maybe more nuanced and official advice.
But to be honest, on a motorway, that is good advice.
Anyway, listen, there's much more going on than what he said.
I know, and that's only one part of it. It's a small part of it, and it doesn't apply to the vast majority of people driving. I accept that.
How concerned is the government as it relates to the situation in Ukraine? Obviously, in terms of what's happening to the people, we couldn't be any more concerned, and that is a given, right? But, you know, there are a lot of people that believe that we need to be prepared because there are many people, experts, say that we are in World War III now. It's just a case of how it escalates. It's clear that the West and Russia, either by proxy, are at war in Ukraine.
Well, look, I'm not going to say that. And it's the easiest thing in the world, and one of the worst things in the world to be is an armchair general, to sit there and start speculating about what conflict might spread or where it might not spread. That's the last thing I want, the last place I want to be. What we want to ensure is that peace is brought to the table, that this conflict can stop, that we can squeeze Russia to the greatest extent possible to stop this conflict. I think that's happening all over the world, including in Ireland. I'm not sure what the effect of it is yet, but it's certainly squeezing Russia really, really hard. As Biden said the other day, the value of a ruble is now down to a US cent, basically. The currency has collapsed, which is going to lead to severe difficulties for people there. So we're doing that. What we in Ireland don't want to do is have any involvement in escalating this or we just want to concentrate on trying to stop this before it would get out of hand.
Do you think we could have had a better, rather than, and through the likes of Leo Varadkar and others, taking a very strong position on it, to the point where, the conversation from those within government and national journalists sparking the conversation about our neutrality or where we should be going into the future? I would have thought that we should have been in an ideal position to obviously not be completely impartial, but to use our independence, to use our quasi-neutrality as a means to sort of be a broker, to position ourselves, to have a unique position in this conversation. Instead, we just have rode straight in behind Boris Johnson and Joe Biden.
No, we haven't. Well, I mean, look, where do you want to be? Do you want us to be with Belarus, with Syria, with Eritrea? I can't remember the other countries that supported Russia at the UN. There's only 5.
That's not what I said.
But that's the point. So who do we line up with? And then do we line up with the abstainers? Do we line up with China? Do we line up with India, other countries? No. I think our best place to be is to be to be supportive of democracy. So we're not involved in a military alliance, and there's no immediate possibility of us joining a military alliance. But we cannot be politically neutral. I mean, the Constitution requires us to respect international law in our dealings with states. Fundamental principle of international law is that countries are allowed to protect their own borders. So we're obliged legally to support that in international law, and that's what we've done. And if you look at the UN Security Council, we've our Ambassador Geraldine Byrne and our Deputy Ambassador Jim Kelly. They've been extraordinarily strong voices at the Security Council, give some fantastic speeches, speaking straight to the Russians there. The problem, of course, with the UN at the moment is that the Russians have a veto at the Security Council, so it's very, very hard to get things done. But I think Ireland has been an incredibly strong voice. But we're not going to stand back and say there's two sides to this, because I think anyone watching it will tell you no.
And that wasn't my suggestion, but I understand where you're going with it. But that wasn't my suggestion at all. We can condemn it in the absolute terms, but we can try and not smash the gates of embassies or change the names of roads of embassies. We can do everything we want to support Ukraine, but maybe I just think we could have. Maybe there was a role for us as some sort of an arbiter, but perhaps not. Okay, as I say, that doesn't mean we support Russia or play it down the middle. That's not what I was saying either. It's an interesting question, because it's kind of an ever-changing question that will be discussed in the Abbey Hotel in Donegal Town tonight at 6:30 p.m, and that's inviting the public to discuss the future of Europe. And it's an uncertain future, but I suppose there are some certainties there as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, this event tonight in Donegal Town, I think it's a good event. We're trying to bring the conference, the future of Europe, out to the regions and to every part of Ireland as best we can. What's happening at the conference on the future of Europe is that there is a discussion going on right across Europe that is about the future of Europe. The French government have really been to the forefront of pushing this, but we've all agreed that we would have this discussion, and there's different ideas going around and different perspectives. So the key thing about this is that sometimes we think at these official conferences that it's politicians, it's leaders, it's all these getting together telling the rest of us what to do. But in fact, the Conference of the Future of Europe is different. It's about actually listening to people, finding out what their views are and feeding that into the process. So in terms of what comes up at Donegal tonight, it'll certainly be feeding into my perspective on the conference representing the government, but also goes directly into what's called the digital platform of the conference, and then gets analysed by other people as well. And we've done a number of these events in person. We did a lot of events online as well, and we also have this Irish politicians, ministers, and there's a number of Irish randomly selected citizens involved in the Conference of the Future of Europe as well when it meets formally in Strasbourg. But all of these events then feed into it. So I think it's a very good opportunity in Donegal tonight.
And what is the format of it? I mean, are there talking points?
Well, the format in general is that one would basically get together and have a discussion that's facilitated and moderated, and there's no sort of limit on what the discussion can be. This is something where we really want to get what people's views are, whether they're for European Union, whether they're against the European Union, what we're doing right, what the European Union is doing wrong. And my message to everybody really is that we think of the European Union as, some people think of the European Union as Strasbourg and Brussels, but really the European Union is Donegal and Letterkenny. Unfortunately now it's not Derry because of Brexit, but we've got to remember that the European Union is about the people right across Europe, and we've got to make sure that everybody's voice is heard, and people people really, I think, in fairness, I think should be getting involved, because it is about all of us. And indeed, at some of these events that I've been at around the country, I've been really pleased, because I think people are sort of taking initiative to discuss these issues that are difficult. Sometimes they're controversial. The whole issue of military neutrality is not particularly something that we will, that I expect major changes to happen out of this process. But these are difficult decisions, that funding of member states as well, the whole issue of the environment and how we make sure we bring people along with us at European level, how we make the digital transition, how we make sure that everywhere, including the Highlands and Islands as such, up to Donegal, are very much included in the future of European Union. So it can be difficult, but I think it's really, really worthwhile. And this process then leads to a kind of a conclusion on the 9th of May, which is Europe Day, where a lot of the recommendations that come from all of these events somehow we're working at the moment on how we actually get everything together. And I would hope after that then we see some concrete proposals that then are sort of easier to discuss with their concrete proposals. At the moment, there's a lot of thought and ideas just coming together.
Understood. Okay, thanks for your time this morning. I really do appreciate it. That's Deputy Thomas Byrne. He is Minister of State for European Affairs. That event this evening is at 6:30 p.m. in the Abbey Hotel in Donegal Town. An opportunity to discuss the future of Europe. You register from 6 p.m. There's refreshments as well. And it runs until 8:30, so it's a 2-hour commitment. You've got the Minister Thomas Byrne speaking there and others. The meeting is organised by the European Movement Ireland. Right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back with a piece of music. If you've a song, if you have a request that you want played, let us know. We'll do that for you. Maybe it's a birthday, an anniversary, or you just want to say hello to someone.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
For all your health and beauty needs, you can always rely on McGee's Chemist in Letterkenny. If you need a prescription, just call or order online at mcgees.ie and it will be ready for you in advance before you arrive. For beauty and skin care, there's all the big names at great prices in store and online. And for your photo printing needs, simply download the McGee's Photo Prints app or click on the website link. McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny, for all your health and beauty needs, and so much more. Call 91211409 or visit mcgees.ie.
From the smallest shrub to the largest tree in an awkward place, Donnelly Tree Services provide a complete range of tree surgery services. Whether you need to remove a dangerous tree or some nuisance branches, Donnelly Tree Services have the experience and expertise to carry out tree surgery to the highest of professional standards. Call 083 005 9939. Donnelly Tree Services, Donegal. No job is too small, no tree is too tall.
Enjoy your bath.
I will. Now. Lovely. What's that splashing?
Oh no, Desi! Something's leaking!
Oh, there's water everywhere. There's a pipe leaking through the ceiling. Oh.
With Allianz Home Insurance, you get emergency home assistance at no extra cost. So when those unexpected moments happen, we'll be here to help. Visit allianz.ie for a quote and get 20% off your home insurance. Allianz plc is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Standard acceptance criteria, policy conditions and minimum premium apply.
Crawford Tiles and More, Castlefin. Bank Holiday Weekend Special. Closed St. Patrick's Day. Open Bank Holiday Friday and Saturday. 20% off floor tiles. 20% off bathroom wall tiles. 20% off adhesive grouts and trims. Delivery service available. Crawford Tiles and More, Castlefin. 914392.
At M&S, we're wondering, what's the best thing about St. Patrick's Day? Getting together with friends? Going to a parade? Or is it the chance to win one of 25 €250 M&S gift cards? Just shop with Sparks in-store or online between March 9th and 20th and you'll be entered into the draw. Think about all that M&S food you could buy. Sparks. Get the app, get the good stuff. Terms and conditions apply. See marksandSpencer.ie for details.
All right, some of your comments now. Hi, Gregor. Got diesel yesterday. It was $1.89 a litre. It's $2.19 today. If the government reduced it by 15 cent, it must have took a rise of 45 cent overnight. Well, did the minister say it's a matter for the Gardaí? I don't know. I was asked by the person that gave me the census form how many people would be in my house on the 3rd of April. I don't know how people are supposed to know the answer to that. Maybe it's for guidance so they get a sense of what people believe might be the case and what actually is the reality, or maybe it's a way of finding out if people will be away. I don't know. Hi Greg, I came home from work last night, 12:30 a.m. I seen my local filling station price was $1.96. I'm after passing it now and it's $1.99, so it effectively went up 18 cents overnight because, of course, the key question here is it's very important for us to know where €360 million is going. That is the cost of this initiative from government up until the end of, the end of August, right? So this is €360 million of your money. Okay, the lady we were spoken to earlier on, who is who has to make big decisions as it relates to heating her mobile home and all that type of stuff with her and the 4 children. Okay, her money. It's your money. Whoever is listening, it's your money. We need to know. We're entitled to know. We should demand to know where this €360 million is going. We cannot allow it to disappear down some black hole. Now, if it is not going anywhere, if no one's making money off the back of it, that is fine. I just don't want a situation where we find major companies record profits like we did see, and huge dividends for their shareholders like we did see when the business support scheme was put out there. Some people made an awful lot of money. You remember that controversy? Right, let's not wait till the end of August or start of September to have that conversation. Ministers like the minister we just had now represent us, the people, our money. They're spending our money, right? That's a decision they made. They never did nothing for us. They decided what to do with our money. We need to know where that 360 million, because that will cover a lot of things. That would build a lot of houses, for example, for people affected by mica. Those are the type of answers that we demand. And I don't think, honestly, and it's no disrespect to the minister, I don't think it's good enough that someone in government kind of goes, well, it could be gouging, or we hope it's not. I think that's something that they should know today, what's going on. They should be able to say, well, we've checked with we've checked with the industry, and they tell us that such and such happened, and this is why the situation is. I don't think it's good enough for people who make these decisions to be speculating. I think we should be able to be told. Maybe my expectations are too high. Anyway, here's an underrated one from Robert Plant. Oh, completely overrated by me because that's the wrong song and the wrong artist compared to what I thought it was. But anyway, that is Robert Plant, You Can't Be My Love. Yes, Greg, past 10 filling stations this morning. No change on prices. Same old story. No problem putting it up, but don't want to bring it down. We're hearing more and more of that. Greg, when are the doctors and nurses going to get the one-off €1,000 from government? I don't know. Another caller says, I saw a post on Facebook recalled the increase of €5 extra for a 40 kilogram bag. That leaves a 40 kilogram bag now €23. Okay, right. We're going to be speaking to our next guest on the show about, well, you'll find out after these.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Now offering mortgages with life cover provided at no additional cost. Letterkenny Credit Union. 9102127.
Brian McCormick, Sports and Leisure, Main Street, Letterkenny. New O'Neill's Donegal range in-store and online. Home jersey available in many options for men, women and juniors. New Donegal goalkeeper jersey out now. Donegal O'Neill's Harlem range with new jackets, hats and snoods to help you show your colours. Look the part, play the part. In-store or online. Click and collect on bmcsports.ie.
Inflation-busting offers from Lidl help make your money go further. With products from across our incredible range, you could make your family a week's worth of delicious, nutritious meals and round it all off with a big Irish Sunday roast. That's a whole week's shop for a family of 4 for less than €76. Follow Lidl's Inflation-Busting Challenge online at #Lidl Inflation Busters for further savings tips and offers. And save even more money in store with the Lidl Plus app. Inflation Busters at Lidl. More for you. Products shopped February 15th. See Lidl.ie for details.
Are you thinking of selling your home? At Robinson Estate Agents, we currently have clients waiting to buy properties due to relocation to Donegal. Call for a free valuation and find out more about the benefits of using an estate agent with over 25 years experience. You can also avail of our free professional marketing campaign. Let Robinson Estate Agents maximise your sale value today. For more information, call our offices in Letterkenny and Dunfanaghy on 07491 20990. Robinson Estate Agents. Working for you.
New this week in Home Store and More. All toilet seats are half price. But better hurry, because when all our half price toilet seats are gone, they're gone. Also, all wall mirrors and clocks and all frying pans are still half price. But when all our half price wall mirrors and clocks and all our half price frying pans are gone, they're definitely gone. Order online before 2 p.m. for next day delivery, or drop by your local Home Store and More. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Ronaldo, De Bruyne, Cavani. You can now see both Manchester teams in action with Ryanair's twice weekly service to Manchester. Ireland West Airport. You're flying.
Okay, so the weather forecast for today, a cold frosty start with ice and fog in places, but this will clear to leave a largely dry and bright day with sunny spells. However, it'll turn cloudier later this evening, becoming breezy as light to moderate southerly winds increase fresh to strong and gusty through the day. Temperatures 8 to 10 degrees. Brendan joins us on the programme now. Brendan, good morning to you.
Morning, Greg. How's it going?
I am doing good. Right, okay. Tell us about what you think we could be doing.
You were talking about the price of diesel going up there earlier on and what people could do, and we're particularly heard Minister Ryan getting a slating about, doing something logical. If you reduce your speed, you'll save money in fuel. But I think that we lost something fantastic in this country in the 80s and the 90s, or I'm going back to the 80s and 90s, where when I was going to college and when I was going to work first, I thumbed a lift or I car shared. And those were great days, and the camaraderie and the friendships you built up. I'm from over West Donegal, and I mean, at that time in the mid-80s, there was probably a half a dozen cars going to Letterkenny on a daily basis, and they were filled out with passengers, particularly students like myself going to the college, and you had to book those cars literally year to year to get a lift to Letterkenny. And it was the done thing, and you knew who was going, and the crack that used to be in those car loads, and literally the relationships that built up. There's things that I still remember very fondly. And I mean, it's the same going to college in Sligo. I thumbed, or in training in Ballinan as far away as Dublin, I thumbed. and this came to, actually not with your discussion this morning, it came to light for me at the weekend. I was cleaning out the attic and it came on an old folder, a school folder, or college folder that I had, folded 4 ways with Ballina, Sligo, Letterkenny and Donegal written on it. And I could turn that folder around, you'd hold that out in front of the cars as to give an indication of where you were going. And
that's it. And I mean, and with all due respect, I just wonder, because I thumbed all over the place myself, if maybe you're looking back with rose-tinted glasses a little bit. I mean that with respect, because I know I was lucky enough, I never had any incidents, but I do know at least 2 of my friends, things happen in cars, you know what I mean? Like experiences happened that was the last time they ever thumbed a lift again. I was lucky enough, but sometimes, you know, that lift didn't come and you ended up walking. You'd have to walk. You know, I just don't really think... I get the car sharing thing, and, you know, maybe we think that all of us should have our own car and sit in the car on our own, and I get that. But in terms of the thumbing stuff, I think it was of a time. I don't think, certainly, you know, for women maybe more so than men, but not exclusively, it's probably not a solution to anything. It's just something to look back on fondly.
I know, but I mean, that sadly, those things probably did happen, but sadly, thankfully, they were an absolute minority. I mean, I can think of going out to Bundoran Road in Sligo to thumb, and the only danger you were in was a row that would erupt between, and usually people were in pairs. You thumbed with a buddy, and if you saw somebody ahead of you getting lifted at a pole, and you tried to stand there, the people that were already there before you, they started roaring at you to move on. But and
yeah, good memories. I'll give you that much. The crack was good.
Well, I did a lot, but again, but leaving aside the thumbing, which is probably more of a young person's game, but the car sharing. I mean, you know, when Abbott was going strong in Donegal town back in still going strong, but in the first iteration of Abbott, and people were travelling from as far away as Lettermacaward to Donegal town to Abbott. There was a good few cars from the Glenties area that car shared to Donegal town. My wife was on one of those cars for over 20 years. Yeah. And, you know, again, friendships that were built up. There was a minibus. Minibuses used to run to Abbott's in Donegal town. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, it wasn't run by the company. I don't believe it was. I think it was probably run by. I
think you know that was at that time, and maybe it's not as much now. It's about manufacturing. I don't know. Maybe they were assembling things, okay, and people had shifts, 8-hour shifts, and I just think an awful lot of the employment in this country is in this county. Is you know it is. You know that it wouldn't lend itself to that. How many people work in?
I don't believe so. I mean, Abbott still work shifts, work longer shifts, they work 3 shifts. People like Primerican, Letterkenny, United Healthcare, massive employers, they work shifts. If the employer and a bus company got together and came up with some sort of a scheme that they could encourage people to leave the car at home, and that, like, I drive over Minroy every day, and I mean, I meet mostly people in single occupant cars. Like, it is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I get you. No, and it's the same at schools. Look, it's the same at schools. You will see almost. I mean, obviously, there's some of the students are on buses, but you will see almost a car per student.
Yeah, and that's. I mean, when I would have went to college first in Letterkenny or in Sligo, it was extremely exceptional. I can particularly remember in Letterkenny, one girl in our class, and the amazing thing was it was all fellas. It was a telecoms class, and it was all fellas, and there was one girl. She was home from America, and she had a Mark II RS 2000 because the family were very wealthy, and we were all agog with it, and everybody wanted a lift in that car, a lift in the car as much as there was a young lady that owned the car, but she was the only one that had the car. Nowadays, even at our secondary schools, we have people driving to school at 16 and 17 in their cars, and probably maybe a family car initially or their own car. And I look at what
I'm not sure how routine that is, but I take your broader point. But there are some, if they've stayed back a year.
Minister Ryan could do to talk to his colleague, the Minister for Education, and if he came up with something, no, people would say, oh, you can't do that. Well, how about banning any secondary school student taking a car to secondary school, and instead coming up with a bike to school campaign? There is a bike to work scheme, and people buy good expensive bikes, lots of it. Maybe yourself.
Also, too, though, when you're hopping back, right? When you're looking back, like, you know, it was relatively easy to own and run a scooter, or you know, a small motorbike. There used to be small motorbikes everywhere. We 50cc, Honda 50s, right? Now you have to jump through so many hoops to get that. People aren't going down that road. I mean, lots of us got around on Honda 50s.
We did, actually, and that's another very good point.
Yeah, and now you don't see it. You don't see it now. Because they're scared to. Firstly, they're legislated off the bike, but scared to because everything's going to kill you, you know. I mean, crossing the road will kill you. So, and then what we have to do is we have to do 12 tests and you have to do this, that and the other, you know. So even an old alternative like that, taking the Honda 50 out, now obviously it might be a modern equivalent. But
a scooter, yes. An electric,
you know what I mean? An electric scooter, but it's you can't go on scooters, and even if you can use an electric scooter, they're dangerous, so we have to get them off the road, and you can't use that there. And so, you know, we're pushed into cars.
I'm back to talking about the minister again. There is a dearth of legislation around e-bikes and e-scooters, and that at the moment it is talked about often, and yet we have the people that should be driving those scooters and that are 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds. I'm not going to encourage 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds.
No, but I'm on about people who are old enough to go to work, because a lot of them are going to work, right? 16, 17, 18-year-olds, that they couldn't get a car. It's very hard to run a car, but the hoops you have to jump to get into one in the first place, it's a nightmare. If they're old enough to work and hold down a job and pay taxes, you know, let them travel the 4 or 5 kilometres or 10 kilometres on a scooter or a small engine motorbike, or even the old push bikes that you could drop the motor down onto the front wheel. But we don't allow that. The whole idea is that everyone has to get into a car, and in 10 years' time, no one's going to be able to, young people are going to find it hard to get into an electric car, for example.
But it definitely starts in the home at that rate of going, because, we encourage, we don't stop, or we don't make our older teenagers think about buying that first car, and we especially don't, it's a dereliction of duty almost, a parental duty, almost to allow that 17-year-old or 18-year-old to drive a car to secondary school. And then, hence what I say, if the ministers would come together and say, well, that shouldn't be allowed, yet we will give them a free top-class mountain bike or whatever, or give it at a nominal cost.
Yeah, but our roads aren't geared for that either, though, you see, Joe. I mean, and I get what you're saying, but, if parents thought, I think, that their children could cycle to school safely, they might be more inclined to actually encourage it. They won't need to be told to do anything by the government. But I'm thinking, in my situation or other people around me situation, would you comfortably allow someone to head off on a dark winter's morning heading for school on a bike? You'd say no, because the roads just simply aren't built for it, like they might be in a like, I'd be interested in how many Dutch students cycle to school. It's probably much greater than here, and that's probably down to their infrastructure.
The minister for some Dutch minister was he not on your show back a couple of months ago? I was up on Fanad looking at it and listening to it, where a Dutch minister was in Ireland for some event, and he was in his electric car, wasn't that it? And he was in his electric car.
But anyway, what we have to do...
He couldn't get it charged. And then the discussion came up about how the facilities are much better in Holland.
Look, you only have to see... Exactly, and you only have to see when schools are off in the mornings, you can travel around comfortably. When the schools are on, everyone's in a car. You can't. Yeah. But we have to think beyond that.
Why do we not have an exclusion zone? You're talking about how, and we all notice it, how the roads are much quieter in school. If you're coming in from Churchill or from Finton or from Glen West Donegal into Letterkenny in the morning, and you come to Black's Corner every morning, there's a traffic jam there. There's 4 or 5 schools up the back lane there. You have the Loretto, you have St. Eunan's, you have the 2 national schools, and everybody's up there. And you have old Dunn Stores car park there. And I cannot understand why there's not a ban.
All right, I'm going to leave you with this one, because this is a sign of the times, Joe. Caller says, in relation to car sharing, that's all right until there's a crash and everyone you have given a lift to makes a claim on you. That's the way we are living. You could end up in the High Court, and I think that's a really good point. But your points are very interesting and well made. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Take care. All right. Thanks for listening and taking part.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
With passengers boarding for the holiday of a lifetime, please go woo!
Highland Radio wants to send you on the holiday of a lifetime.
Worth €10,000.
Plus €5,000 spending money. Woo!
Get your ticket now at highlandradio.com. Answer the question and start packing. Start packing.
Draw takes place April 14th on the 9 till noon show.
Get your ticket early and enter a bonus draw for an extra week's holiday in Turkey.
Two for the price of one.
Start planning your ultimate getaway. Only on Highland Radio.
Dear Daniel, ever since you burst out of Donegal and onto the music scene, I've been your biggest fan. And when you came to visit, I could have died. And when you offered to fix my boiler, I could have died, Daniel. Because you're not a registered gas installer. I'm returning all your albums and my rhinestone-studded I Love Daniel jacket. Goodbye forever from Mary. P.S. Daniel, you can find your local registered gas installer at rgii.ie.
Century Complex is the perfect family day out. Kids will love exploring Century Play. There's lots of tasty options available at Backstage Bar and Grill. And at Century Cinemas, we're showing entertaining kids movies, rom-coms, actions, adventure movies, dramas and more. Call us on 07491219976 or visit centurycinemas.ie.
The big Ulster clashes in Division 1 of the National League continue on Sunday, with Donegal hosting Monaghan in Ballybuffet. Donegal will go into the game full of confidence after their win over All-Ireland champions Tyrone in their previous outing. Join the Highland teams from 1:30pm for the build-up and the full game live.
Highland's coverage of Donegal action in the National Football League is brought to you by Highland Motors Letterkenny, main dealer for Citroën cars and commercials in Donegal. Citroën Berlingo vans are now back in stock. Order yours today by contacting Damien at Highland Motors.
At your local Centra, we have great offers. Like Centra sirloin steak, 454 gram, only €5. Nescafe Gold Blend, 100 gram, half price now €2.59. And Rare Vineyards Malbec and Sauvignon Blanc, only €9 each. Centra. Live every day. Enjoy alcohol sensibly.
Okay, you are tuned to your number one local radio station. This is Highland Radio. Good morning to you. Another hour to come on the 9 till noon show, including your relationship questions asked and answered. Stay right where you are. At 11 o'clock, though, it's time for a news update, and it's over to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. An independent TD has predicted fuel prices could reach €3.50 a litre without further government intervention. A cotton excise duty came into place overnight. However, many forecourts have put up their prices yesterday. A number of TDs have written to the Competition and Consumer Protection Commission this morning asking them to investigate. Areas where there are school places available may be the first to receive Ukrainian child refugees. The Education Ministers admitted that finding school places for the estimated 30,000 children who need them will be a challenge. Meanwhile, a Midlands North West MEP is calling for a temporary postponement of some EU climate targets that farmers have to meet so that they can divert their efforts instead to ensuring food security in the EU. Colin Markey says the war in Ukraine may mean changing priority away from climate target policies embedded in the likes of CAP and Farm to Fork. The chair of the Regional Health Forum West is warning that COVID-19 is having a serious impact on Letterkenny University Hospital. The hospital is currently dealing with 70 infectious cases of the virus, with a number of wards converted into COVID wards. Councillor Jerry McMonigal says the spread of the virus is having a knock-on effect on the delivery of other services in the hospital. There are further calls for an increase in electric vehicle charging points to be rolled out in Donegal. An Ardra hotel owner claims she has been subjected to a number of cancellations due to the absence of a charging point in the town. And Killybegs has seen a new lease of life as a result of remote working. That's according to Donegal Deputy Thomas Pringle, who was speaking in the Dáil in support of a Labour motion on flexible and remote work. Deputy Pringle says this way of working has allowed many Donegal people return home from Dublin and further afield, which they previously wouldn't have been able to do so. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
Okay, Michaela, thank you very much. Back after this short break.
Travelling soon? Get your travel money completely, securely sorted with An Post Money. It's the only place you'll get foreign currency in both cash and on a currency card with 0% commission. Plus a 24/7 card helpline and emergency cash if you lose your card. So you're always sorted, whether you're here or here.
G'day, mate.
Or thousands of other places worldwide. Get your travel money sorted with An Post Money. Visit onpost.com or your local post office. T's and C's apply. OnPost Money Currency Card is issued by PPS EUSA, pursuant to licence by MasterCard International. PPS EUSA is authorised by the National Bank of Belgium and is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland for conduct of business rules.
Okay, delighted to welcome onto the programme now a psychotherapist, author and coach, Keeley Taverna. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us. It's great to have you back on the programme again.
As ever, always look forward to talking with you.
Thanks so very much indeed. Listen, you know, often we talk about relationships, and we will, because we'll get to people's questions. But I mean, you know, every relationship, I think, is going to be affected by external influences. And we've just come through the COVID pandemic, and it was very, very tough and an awful lot for people to... we're still going through it, but for an awful lot of people to cope with. But you were able to sort of have some control over that situation, I think, and that might have helped people. Now, we seemingly out of that, and we're straight into an existential crisis. We don't know where this is going to go, and we are out of control. We can feel out of control in it. How do we? Have you any tips on how we can cope with this? You know, because people will be reading the news and wondering where this is going to go and what kind of world we actually could end up living in. This could scale up to something like most of us have never seen before, Keeley.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that we need to take responsibility for, and it's very difficult, is how much news we consume, because it's having a massive impact. It's starting to show up in the therapy room. And I'm you know, the reality is, if we just perpetually watch it and go from app to app to app, keeping up to date, you know, I have many clients who are from Europe, who speak different languages, and I'm beginning to realize they're also watching the news in their various, you know, home language, and it's all creating increased mental health problems, anxiety, panic attacks. And so one way is to try to limit some of your exposure to the news, that maybe you choose a particular time of day. That's also about auditing your phones, because if you're getting news alerts and updates, that's not particularly helpful. And again, just like the pandemic, even though it is different, it is uncertain times. And uncertainty is very difficult for humans, because we like to have often the illusion of control. And that's one of the reasons why, when situations are unsettling, it can be so detrimental. But it's to know that, you know, we've come through the pandemic. We're on the other side ish, hopefully ish, and listen, you know. And I guess some of this we're just going to have to watch as it plays out. Literally.
And I suppose too, we have to understand that, look, you know, your BBC News, your Sky News, and what have you. This programme, obviously, we discuss current affairs, so it's going to feature on this programme. Whilst that programme is always there, you don't always have to consume it either. No. You know, even I, as someone who works in the media, I will, as much as I can, switch off. I'm struggling more so with this crisis than I have with previous crises, but you have to, as you say, it's the perfect advice, I think. Just because the information is there, just because it's being broadcast, it's there for you to tune in when it suits you. It's not there for you to sit there absorbing it constantly, because none of us could insulate ourselves then from the stress and anxiety. I don't think any of us could be strong enough if we were constantly bombarding ourselves with it.
That is what's happening. And that is one of the factors that are, you know, starting to show up in the room more often. Panic attacks, especially for people, you know, who are closer to the countries surrounding the Ukraine. And that's totally understandable. And again, you know, we have got the skills, we have developed them through the pandemic, you know, about taking more responsibility for ourselves, our own well-being, focusing on what you can control. Is there a humanitarian group in your area? Are there things that you can do? Because we know sitting there consuming isn't good. So what action might you be able to take? What causes might there be available to you where you can assist? So that helplessness, despair, worry and fret and the pessimism doesn't take over you, because it's a real issue.
For sure. And you're talking about it on a countrywide scale, and I agree, and I can understand that too. But if things get even more tense, you're going to see a difference between how someone in Glasgow might be dealing with it compared to London, because obviously, you know, London is the capital, and God forbid if things were ever to escalate, you know, you would start seeing an increase in anxiety in our capital cities. Okay. Right, okay, great advice. Let's get to some other questions if that's okay, Keeley. My best friend is married to a man who tracks her every move. She was talking to us all about leaving him. The next thing is she's pregnant. She's clearly very unhappy. The other day I met her for coffee. We had planned to go to one place. It was packed, so we went elsewhere. He was immediately on the phone asking her where she was and why she wasn't where she said she would be. She was clearly embarrassed and wanted the call to end. The next thing he asked her to switch the phone to camera so we could see where she was and who she was with afterwards. She cried with embarrassment. What do I do to help her? Clearly, this woman needs to get out of this situ ASAP, but what can her friends do to assist her, I wonder, Keeley?
In situations like that, it is about encouraging people to seek some professional support, letting them know about helplines that are available to them, domestic abuse helpline, Samaritans, signposting, and endeavouring to not be judgmental, which isn't always easy, because, you know, naturally we care about our friends and we don't want our friends in certain situations. But endeavouring to not be judgmental and to understand it's complex. It's really complex. Lives are you know, relationships are formed, pregnancy. So it's tricky, and that can be really difficult for friends. But signposting is fundamental.
Yeah, it's worth pointing out too, at least in this country, that is actual criminal behaviour. That is coercive control, which is actually a crime here, and there have been convictions not only in our part of the world but nationally as well. How to handle in-laws that refuse to speak. Sorry, it's just in-laws. As soon as I see that word, I don't know, I go back to Carry On films or something, but this is very serious. How to handle in-laws that refuse to speak to you in front of your children. They'll go out of their way to make you feel worthless, but my other sister-in-law is the best thing since sliced bread. That's a horrible situation.
So just run that by me again.
Yeah, so this person, their in-laws refuse to speak to them in front of their children. I don't understand the significance of in front of the children, and they'll go out of their way to make them feel worthless. But there's another sister-in-law, and they treat her like the best thing. So, basically, really, she doesn't understand, or he doesn't understand why his in-laws dislike him or her, but I presume it's a her. But there's another sister that she's obviously the golden child, sister-in-law.
Well, the dynamic is, what do you need to do to protect yourself from that situation? Often, if you challenge people when they're treating you poorly, they may deny it. They may try and act like, well, Dana, what's wrong with you? So, you know, you may have a conversation with your partner about, have you noticed your parents are a little bit off with me? See where that goes. And if not, think about what choices you need to make to protect yourself. Because if you're at the bottom of the totem pole, and that's been an issue throughout your life, you know, not being regarded, being overlooked, this can tap into bigger self-esteem issues. And taking responsibility for yourself, therefore kindly declining invitations where you're going to be subjected to this kind of behavior is in your best interest and may well be discomfortable for everybody else if you're not agreeable. However, if you're in situations where you're being ill-treated, undermined, overlooked, again, it's our responsibility to look after ourselves.
Yeah, my husband has lost all interest in sex. Now, the caller says he's 100% not seeing anyone else. Now, obviously, you might say they need to talk about this, but the problem is the caller wants to know, how do I get him to talk about why this part of our life is dead? So how do you get him to engage in the conversation to try and find some sort of resolution? Because as we've said before, you don't know what might be going on in his mind.
Absolutely not. And it can be a taboo subject. It can be a subject that evokes embarrassment. I think the challenge is to have the conversation about the impact it's having on you and encourage the individual to either seek help, professional help, maybe going to the doctors. Is something wrong downstairs? Do they tend to avoid? But again, to avoid the conversation means that there's only going to be a build-up. And what's going to be the impact on your own libido?
Yeah.
You know, there's usually a kind of a long-term consequence for that.
Because it's not just a physical act, it's an emotional act as well.
Absolutely. And it's an important part of any, you know, intimate relationship. And if you're both at the same point where you both don't want sex and that works for you, whoopee-doo. But if you're not, it can be particularly problematic and, quite symbolic in terms of when the sex goes out of a relationship. That's a very interesting time.
Yeah, all right. Just time for one more, Keeley. I've started dating a man. We're in our early 30s. Before this relationship, I had a bad breakup and some unfulfilling flings. So I want to hold back from having sex for a while. However, he seems to be losing patience with me and says we need to know if we're compatible in the bedroom as well in the rest of our relationship. Am I wrong to delay sex? My friends tell me I'm crazy because I don't. He'll find it elsewhere. Well, if he's not prepared to accept her on reasonable, I think they're reasonable terms, I think that's a nice early big red flag for her.
Yeah, well, it's her T's and C's, and it can be very difficult to hold your boundary in relationships, especially if we've been waiting for Mr. Right to come along, and then we meet someone and we've made a choice that we're going to withhold, wait, delay sex, because often in the past we may have given it up too freely and those relationships haven't manifested. As ever, this is something to communicate to the partner in terms of your rationale, if you choose to, not that we always have to explain ourselves. And I guess the challenge is if someone doesn't agree with that, is there space for compromise? I think it's about having the open dialogue, letting somebody know where you're coming from. But if that doesn't work for them and they're not prepared to wait, then sadly, that's where that relationship will kind of hit the buffers.
Keeley, thank you very much as always. Keeley is a psychotherapist, author and coach. If people want to check out more about you and your services, Keeley, how do they do so?
You can find me at keyforchange.com. You can use the number 4 or write FOR, keyforchange.com.
All right, stay happy, stay safe. Thanks, Keeley.
Take care.
All right, bye-bye. That's Keeley Taverner there, psychotherapist, author and coach. She'll be back with us in 3 or 4 weeks. If you want to get a question into us, you can email comments@highlandradio.com. We'll endeavour to get an answer for you.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Driving the new Fiat 500 is choosing an all-new, all-electric car with an impressive range and 0 to 80% fast charging in 30 minutes. It's choosing a car that's so full of tech it will confidently and safely drive you into the next decade. It's choosing to believe in a better tomorrow. Welcome back, future. New Fiat 500 prices start at €24,995 after government subsidies. Book a test drive at Joseph Doherty Limited, Moville, or visit fiat.ie.
Are you tired of waiting for treatment or surgery? Did you know you can receive immediate treatment across the border under the new NI planned healthcare scheme at potentially no cost? Donegal patients are still being treated with us at Kingsbridge Private Hospital Northwest post-Brexit. The process is easy and our dedicated team will help guide you through it. So why wait? Contact us today to find out how you can skip the waiting lists and receive treatment in Northern Ireland. Visit kingsbridgeprivatehospital.com, because life matters.
On the night of April 3rd, we'll all come together to fill out our census forms. And the information you provide will help show where essential services are needed in every part of the country. So on Sunday, April 3rd, be a part of Ireland's future. Be counted. Visit census.ie to find out more.
Farmers to be paid to increase fodder supplies. For more in your Farmer's Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
As costs and farms soar, Minister to seek multi-million euro emergency package for farmers. Farmers will be paid to grow red clover and multi-species swards. Plus new supports for tillage farmers. And we reveal what your CAP payment will be in 2023 and beyond.
And don't miss 6 pages of analysis on what the war in Ukraine means for Irish farming. Inside this week's Irish Farmer's Journal, on sale now.
The award-winning Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic Udor offers the most advanced skincare treatments for men and women, treating conditions such as acne, skin tags, rosacea and scarring. As a qualified aesthetics practitioner, Mary Ferry offers a range of anti-aging treatments including dermal fillers, thread lifts, Profilo, skin boosters, microneedling and LED light therapy. Hair and makeup also available. Download the Genesis Salon app today or call 07495 32575.
Okay, lots of people having their views on the price of fuel, and understandably as well, and it's all on different scales as well. John McLaughlin of JML Transport and Recycling joins us. John, thanks for taking the call this morning.
Yes, Greg. Welcome back.
Now, you really are, John, probably at the coalface in terms of having to buy a lot and it having an impact on your day-to-day.
It does. It's unbelievable how much an impact it's having, and the price is just going through the roof. And I just took a photograph of lost services this morning, 110 and 114, or 210, 214. That's what the diesel and petrol is. It's just ridiculous where it's going. And I do listen and I hear people saying, yeah, they're taking 15 cents off. But it'll take a few weeks for the 15 cents to come off, because they'll do a bag of tricks and people will put up the price, down the price to confuse people. And that's the name of the game in Ireland, is confuse the people. That's what it's all about. Yeah. What
have you hearing back from the meeting between the Irish Road Haulage Association and the government last night?
I heard they were seeing them yesterday, all right. I didn't hear no news back today from the Irish Road Haulage to see what the story is. They'll keep the cards close to their chest until the last minute. That's probably what they will do. But I was a member up to a couple of years ago until I'd done that other last demonstration, and then I stopped because they didn't want to do what I wanted to do. And
was that the one towards the end of last year?
No, way back a few years ago.
Oh, right, okay.
I done a blockade up in Dublin and here and everything else, and then I went to Dublin and we got 7 cents a litre back for a rebate for the lorry drivers. But I wanted to do it for the bus men, the taxi men, because we're all using diesel, we're all hurting, and it affects everybody. But I've had more people than enough phoning me this last 2 weeks, and I'm driving back and forth to England as well myself, and more people, am I not doing nothing, or why am I not doing nothing? So I've just come to the conclusion it's time to do something. And the only way I see that we get something done in this country is start a war, because when you start a war, things get done right away. So
are you on about like protesting?
I protest, and I'm going to put a thing together now with the bus men, the taxi men, the haulage men. We have to all get together and pick out a team and do it right this time, and do something with this government as well.
You know, I mean, obviously we can talk about the tax take from the government and all this kind of stuff, but is the crisis not such? I mean, we actually could be looking at $3.50 a litre in the not too distant future. So the external factors are such, right? Is there any advantage? What can be achieved? What can the government actually do once prices get to such a level? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, you not really need to be planning to run your business on €3 a litre.
No, I'm not. No. But then the only way I can explain it to you is put 100 people in front of you now today, Greg.
Yeah.
And you asked a question: how many people knows how much the government's getting out of €1 of diesel?
Mm-hmm.
And see who puts up their hand. I'll put you on a bet now that probably 4 or 5 people will put their hand up and tell you near enough exactly right, if not right.
But I think more people might be aware now than would have been a couple of years ago. But look at, you see, I think also in your comment, you talk about as well, our services in this country being overstretched, and maybe we aren't capable of bringing in and supporting more people, okay? But it is the likes of the tax on the petrol and diesel that is used to provide services and to support the people living in this country. So you're asking them to not take it off you guys. So where does that shortfall come from then? I mean, you can't have it both ways. You can't criticise the lack of services and then say, well, don't take tax to pay for them off us because we can't continue in business.
Yeah, I know, but what's wrong is, for instance, our cancer patients is on means tested at the moment. Our local people is on means tested. Our local people that is homeless, our pyrite people that's got all their houses, and my daughter's one of them, houses falling around their ears, and they're fighting over pennies. And yet all of a sudden, a war in Ukraine, and they're living on 100,000 people. What's that not costing? Now, don't get me wrong. I'll be the first to put my hand in my pocket to help them. I'll be the first to help in any shape, way, or form. But it's just, where's all this money coming out of all of a sudden? and the
well, we're borrowing it, John. John, we're borrowing it. You know, we borrowed 60 odd billion to deal with COVID, and we're going to just go borrowing it again. I mean, listen, when
we're back to 2008 again, Greg, where Abramovich had a big boat, and now they're looking to take the boat off him.
Like, I get where you're coming from, John. I just think that this is the potential to scale to such an extent that 2008, 2009 recession will look like tiddlywinks. That this is at such a scale here, John. You know, I understand where you're coming from, and we have to protest, but this is a global situation that obviously the elite and the rich will be well insulated, but they'll not be insulated from everything.
No, they're not. No, and I come on the boat last night, and I was listening to a conversation on the radio station where a family of 7 came to England yesterday morning sometime and looking for help to stay somewhere. And they were turned away and told them to go back. They landed in their 3-month-old Mercedes Jeep, 7 of a family, and looking for a hotel to stay in free of charge, and they were turned away. Now, doesn't matter what they landed in, whether it was a van, a Jeep, whatever, they still should have been helped because obviously they got out quick. But it's just some of the things that's going on is ridiculous.
But you know yourself, you're a clever person. You know they could have maybe been 2 successful business people in Ukraine. They could have had a loan out for that Jeep, but their jobs are gone, their businesses are flattened, their houses are flattened. So I don't really see the relevance of maybe they can sell the Jeep and contribute to their to the expense. But
I know, Greg,
it's a motive, but I mean, it doesn't tell the full story. What you're saying.
There's money in the bank for to do all these things, and yet we can't help the Donegal people, the Mayo people with their houses. We can't help the homeless. We can't help our own, but yet we seem to be able to help everybody else.
All right, well, on that then, just on
there?
that question, right, let me put it to you this. 10,000 people have offered spare rooms to Ukrainian refugees. That's the public. This is not the government now. Why do you think we need to ask why we never fixed the homeless crisis that way? Like, we never took all the homeless and downtrodden people in off the streets, even over Christmas. Why are we flinging our doors open? And rightly so when people are doing that. But like that's us as a public question. That's not a government question, there, John.
No, you're pulling at heartstrings there. That's what you're doing. Now, for us going for the homeless people would be coming from backgrounds of alcoholics.
But we don't know the background of the Ukrainian people.
Yeah, I know, but the way the Irish would look at it as they were druggies, alcoholics, or whatever, they wouldn't open their doors so quickly to them, as where the government would just let them sit along the side of the road. No, the Ukrainians, in fairness, like, they do pull at your heartstrings, and as I say, what's happened shouldn't be happening. But again, the government's let this happen.
Right, from a business point of view.
Yeah.
Where's the tipping point?
Oh, good question. It's very near. I might actually went over the tipping point at the moment, but it's coming very, very close to it. That we're just going to have to either switch off and possibly park up and wait to see what happens. Maybe that's the best thing to do, because if it goes much higher, that's what we're going to have to do. Because what's happening at the minute, we're passing it down to the consumer, or down to the people that we're working for. They're passing it to their people, and they're passing it right down to the people that's buying the product. So the product is not going to be bought, which will end up me going, I'll not be doing as much work. So it's a knock-on effect the whole time. But the government is great at confusing people and everything else. Like, that's their job. They confuse people, as in, when they're not looking one way, they're doing something else.
But you think they could be doing more to make the local business sustainable? All right. Right, let us be interested to see when this protest takes place, what form it will take. I'm sure we'll talk closer to that time. Thanks, John.
Yep. All right, cheers.
All right, thank you very much indeed. Okay, so we've been talking so far, haven't we, for the most part, about the 10 cent, 15 cent reduction being lost in increases. But what about the 2 cent that was offered on green diesel? Joseph is a farmer, and I've lost Joseph there. We'll try and get Joseph back again. because he is an important point to make. In the meantime, let's take a few messages.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Mortgages now available with a personalised service from your local and friendly credit union. Email mortgage@letterkennycu.ie.
At Smith's Daleside, our Munchie range of highly palatable calf feed enhances rumen development and maximises performance. Our heifer range is the excellent choice for all breeder stock. Call Smith's Daleside on 074 9171 300.
Visit Derry and experience a world of difference just over the border. See the historic walls, the waterfront, and the famous chill-off licences at Da Vinci, White House, Coolmore, Hatmore and Shantallow, which, for some reason, have suddenly become the #1 attraction. So visit Derry and leave with more than just memories. Please drink responsibly. See drinkaware.ie.
Save hundreds of euros on custom charges shopping online with Space Hub Derry. We provide a full virtual office address mailbox service for all your business and personal use. Save your business hundreds, possibly thousands, on custom charges with Space Hub Derry. Call 048 7187 8077 for more details.
Congratulations to sisters Grace McFadden and Mary Toland from Milford. They won an incredible €11,000 on NCBI Radio Bingo.
Oh, thank you very much, Scott. Fantastic.
See highlandradio.com for a list of retailers and purchase your book today for just €5, with daily prizes of €400 and a weekly jackpot starting at a whopping €5,000. It makes sense. Buy your book today.
For confirmation and First Communion, see the great selection of suits, casual wear and footwear at Watson Menswear, Letterkenny. Top brands, including 1880 Club, Lyle & Scott, Farah and Diesel. Also, Tommy Bow footwear, and all at great prices. Whatever the fit, whatever the style, confirmation and First Communions are covered. For less, at Watson Menswear. Open 7 days a week on Main Street, Letterkenny, and at watsonmenswear.com. Also, great end of sale bargains still available.
Are you worried about trees on your property? Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet are fully insured and have over 40 years experience in dangerous tree removal, tree felling, surgery and stump grinding. For peace of mind, call Northwest Forest Services Ballybuffet for a no obligation quotation on 913233.
Okay, I think we can now welcome Joseph, who is a farmer, onto the programme. Hi Joseph, thanks for taking the call.
All right, no bother.
Right, so as part of this excise cut announcement, was it 2 cents a litre on agricultural diesel?
Yes.
What impact is that making in real terms?
That's what I would love to know. Does the people that made that 2 cent reduction, do they think that that's going to have any influence on the situation? When you think about 1,000 litres of tractor diesel at €1,340 on Monday, and you give €20 down from that.
So that's what that 2 cent equates to. It would be saving €20 on 1,000 litres of green diesel.
On 1,000 litres.
So it's effectively, it's nothing, really.
That's just about it. That, like, I would call it an insult to the intelligence of the farming community.
How is rising fuel costs going to impact on farming in your view, Joseph?
Well, if it carries on, it's going to stop it. As simple as that. Like, we couldn't carry on. Like, you take the 1,000 litres of tractor diesel at $13.40 on Monday. The Monday before that, it was $9.89. A jump of €350 in a week.
Very hard to claw that back.
Can't be done.
Yeah.
Can't be done.
And it could get...
the minister trying to get people to grow extra barley or wheat or feed stuff for cattle next winter at those kind of prices, and the price of fertiliser, that's just not going to happen.
It's a perfect storm, isn't it, between, us supply shortages, asking farmers to increase their outputs, but farmers not being able to do so because of the cost of doing so. I mean, it's going to be very hard to sort that one out.
Well, it's not practical at all now. Simple as that.
What do you think should be done?
What I think should be done? Well, I don't know who's to blame for it all, but unless the prices drop again, like fertiliser is over double what it was last year, and so was the fuel.
Are there any alternatives to buying in fertiliser?
Not very much, other than reduce the sell off the stock and not have to grow as much feed stuff for the winter.
No, well, that's not helpful either. See, that's every time you look for a solution, it creates another problem, doesn't it, Joseph?
Yeah, that's what's going to happen.
Right.
Just whatever grows naturally will be what will be feeding cattle for in a lot of cases this summer.
How worried are you for this year?
I'm very worried now. Very worried now about growing a bit of barley or growing anything. Like they're talking now about the round bale of silage just to be baled and wrapped at €20 a bale. The fertiliser alone would cost about €8 a bale.
Mm-hmm. At today's prices?
At today's prices, and possibly more by the summertime.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be very, very dear feeding for next winter.
Yeah, all right. Okay,
Yeah.
Joseph, thanks for your insight. I appreciate it. So effectively, to a farmer, the excise reduction was the equivalent to €20 on 1,000 litres of oil. More of your comments here. The filling station in Rafo that Greg mentioned was selling fuel for $1.84. It's still selling it for that price. No sign of it going down. I never mentioned any specifics, by the way, but maybe a listener did. Filling stationing in Byrne was selling its fuel at $1.98 last night at 9 p.m. When the caller passed it this morning, it's at $2.02. Caller used to run a service station. The owners of the service station were not given a rebate of 25% automatically at midnight last night. The government can't reduce the price straight away as they are working with stocks of fuels which they've paid the higher price for. Now, on that, right, okay, I accept what you're saying and I understand that. So the new fuel is where the saving might be shown. But you can't tell me that when there's a fuel increase that everybody runs out of fuel at the same runs out of fuel or gets restocked with the fuel at the same time, and all the increases seem to go on at the same time, seemingly mid-stock, or else everyone runs out at the exact same time. So I take your argument, but presumably if it can be balanced out with an increase, can it not be balanced out with a decrease? But a caller says the government should explain to the public that it will take service stations at least a week or more before they can pass on the discount depending on stock levels. Do the government and the public expect the service station owners to take the hit? No business could sustain that. But again, let me ask the question. Are you saying that petrol station owners do not increase the price on the stock they've already bought in? If the answer to that is no, they don't, well then I'll fully accept your point of view. I fully accept your point of view anyway, but you understand it'll make more sense to me. Time for us to have an election. Fianna Fáil have no idea what they're doing, and as usual, the priority seems to be business and not ordinary people. We need to show government the strength of ill feeling towards recent decisions by voting them out of office as soon as is possible. I just wonder, would anyone be that keen in getting into government now? I think they probably wouldn't want to be. Okay, right, important issue here now. We're going to speak to Keeley Marie McColgan, who is chairperson of Autism Family Support Group. Keeley Marie, thank you very much for joining us today.
Good morning, Greg, and thank you very much for having me on your show. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Can you talk to me about the support group, what work it does, how many people it helps, how many people are involved?
Yeah, I'll give you a wee background on it. Our group is run by volunteers, most of whom either are autistic people or parents of autistic children, young people and adults. They volunteer their time providing support for parents by sharing experiences and being a listening ear to each other. We create awareness locally and support local businesses and schools when they ask. We have enough volunteers. When we have enough volunteers, we run in-house social groups and training for all the families. Mm-hmm. We also organise family fun days out in the community and activities for the social inclusion part of the children or the adults and all the autistic people's lives. These groups and activities are so important to autistic people and their families because autism can be a lonely, lonely journey. Our children can find it hard to be involved with their peers or even have a connection with peers of their own age group, of all ages mm-hmm. of autistic people.
And what area would you service, Keeley Marie?
It's literally just a volunteer, and we do...
But what area of the county, do most of your clients come from, if you could call them clients?
Mainly Letterkenny.
Right, okay.
Members, we call them.
Yeah, members. Okay, that's it's good to get the correct terminology. Now, you found yourself in a situation where you are presumably the future of the group might be in doubt because you're down to a very small committee.
Yeah, in the last, we'll say maybe 6 months, it was down to 2 active committee members, and then now it's down to just myself since Friday. Now, within our group, I have shared and invited parents themselves to step up if they have the time to support each other and to keep the committee going, so that then we can do the activities that we love doing to support each other. But at now this stage, and looking at where the group has come from, and it has been run by parents for many years and autistic people and adults, I mean, that now why not just branch out and ask members of our community to invite them in to join our committee, so that we can have a more diverse and equal board.
What would the role of a committee member be? For those listening that go, right, I might have a little bit of spare time, or this is something I have an interest in. So what would a committee member's role be?
Well, it'd be just like a few hours a month to commit their time to support and organise activities and outings and social inclusion and stuff like that, and support us all in the community.
Okay, and you're hoping people sign. How many of a committee would you realistically need? The more, obviously, the more the merrier, because that spreads the workload. It's an awful lot for you to be taking or maintaining on your own. Probably not possible.
No, it's not. No, it's not legally possible.
Of course, there's a legal element to it as well. Of course,
yeah, because we're registered as a CRO company, but it's all organised or fundraising. We don't like make money, if you know what I mean.
Understood.
It's just from funding, and it's just like we're just reaching out and asking people if you have time to just reach in and email us, and I'll reply, when I have time.
Yeah.
But I will get back to people.
The email, by the way, is, and I'll mention it again towards the end, autismletterkenny@gmail.com. This is time sensitive too. You've a little over a week really to form a new committee, and if not, this group is lost. And when something like this is lost, we know from history, don't we, Keeley Marie? It's often not replaced. I mean, is there another support group that's not a competing support group? Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm trying to find out I'm trying to ascertain why have you been reduced to sort of having to try and do things in your own? And as you mentioned, legally you can't. I presume you engaged and worked with and helped lots of people with or affected by autism.
Yes, we have. Now I've only stepped up to join the committee in the last 6 months really, and then of course sadly my crying story. I got COVID and I just stepped down altogether for a lot of months there. But as I stepped back up then, you don't actually come away from your post. Like I was always chair, but I just was too unwell to be actively volunteering with the group. But it's just the stress and strains of the parents themselves that they can't run it. And like there is people now that have stepped up and said that they want to be involved and they want to be on the committee, and that is fantastic. Our own members, parents and autistic people themselves. But I'm reaching out to get more. We want more people in the community to kind of support the group as well, and volunteer. We're always needing volunteers to run it and stuff. And when you join in, there's no specific experience needed at all. No experience at all. We'll provide the training. We are supported by and involved with Donegal Local Development Company and Donegal Volunteer Centre, and as I am the Bridge Forward programme, and they'll help us and mentor us to train and support the committee members and volunteers.
Okay, so it is a call out for committee members, and the committee members is the most time pressing, I imagine, because you need to form a committee before a week is out, effectively, to keep the Autism Family Support Group going. And if people also maybe want to have a role in volunteering, it's superbly rewarding, and it's very useful for your CV or whatever your motivation might be. It doesn't matter what your motivation is, if you can help. The more people do it, the less time commitment. So it's a case of putting the call out there now, Kelly Marie, and seeing, how many people go, right, I have a couple of hours a month. That's what we're talking about.
And Greg, it's important to say as well that we have to have, it's essential, in-house garda vetting has to be done.
Of course, I think people understand that, yeah.
Yeah, and TUSLA, Children's First Training, e-learning has to be done. And then the extra training, as I am, Bridge Forward training, and the committee community communications training from Donegal Local Development Company, that's, it's not essential, but it's up to the.
But it's enriching. All of the stuff you talk of is, obviously it's some essentials, but the rest is enriching. And I presume, you want to be looking towards a summer program rather than this group folding.
Yeah, definitely. Usually we try to have family days out, like we'll say in Arena 7 or even longer, petting zoos and stuff like that, and we then link with them and ask them to kind of lower lights and have it more autistic friendly. And the community up until now have been so supportive and amazing when we do get involved outside our own kind of building. But when we run in-house programs and groups, mainly to socialise the children and adults, because that's what they need the most. They need the social connection and the fun and the playful environment. Yeah. But they do and really do need to be supported to have that environment and have it safe and supportive for them to be able to communicate with each other.
Okay.
But it's amazing.
Right, we can look to the government and the HSE and say you need to do more, but this is something that's within our own power. This is a people power situation. Exactly. So if anyone wants to have a role in this, wants more information, autism, Letterkenny at gmail.com. Kelly Marie will get back to you just as soon as she can, but a committee needs to be formed legally by the 18th of March. So if you think you have a few hours to spare, what a better way to spend it than working with others. Autism, Letterkenny at gmail.com. That's how they get in contact with you, and hopefully you have a good response to this, Kelly Marie. It's generally around the Letterkenny area, so might be better suited to people living locally, so they're not using up more of the time than they might if they were from outside the area. But you're happy to listen to anyone, I'm sure.
Anybody at all, no matter where you're from. Volunteering a solar ward, and I've been doing it for many years myself, and I just love it. It's like you give but you get back all the time, especially with children with autism and special needs. They're just extremely special human beings,
Okay. Kelly Marie, thank you.
Thanks,
I hope you get a good
it.
response. I really do. Sounds
Thank
like
you.
it's a service that we don't want to lose. Okay, right, thanks. Kelly Marie McColgan there, Chair of the Autism Family Support Group. That email, once again, autismletterkenny@gmail.com. And I say this from time and time again, lots of people want to help others, but they struggle to do so. Maybe it's for financial reasons or whatever. Here's another opportunity to be able to make a big difference in other people's lives. And as Kelly Marie said there, yes, you're giving, but also you're getting back in spades as well.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages with life cover provided at no additional cost. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
With passengers boarding for the holiday of a lifetime, please go
Highland Radio wants to send you on the holiday of a lifetime.
worth €10,000.
Plus $5,000 spending money.
Get your ticket now at highlandradio.com. Answer the question and start packing. Start packing.
Draw takes place April 14th on the 9 till noon show.
Get your ticket early and enter a bonus draw for an extra week's holiday in Turkey.
Two for the price of one.
Start planning your ultimate getaway. Only on Highland Radio.
Walk the line once again with the multi-award-winning Johnny Cash and June Carter tribute show Cash Returns. Celebrate the music of the Man in Black at the Strual Arts Centre, Omagh on Saturday 19th of March. Limited tickets are available now at the box office. That's Cash Returns live at the Strual Arts Centre, Omagh, Saturday 19th of March.
Lingering sunsets in Spain, captivating coastlines in Croatia, dinner overlooking Lake Como. It's time to stop dreaming and start doing. Let us guide you to your dream destination. Just show up, suitcase in hand, and we'll take care of everything. Flights, accommodation, excursions, expert local guides, and all that planning. Secure your spot now on a guided group tour with deposits from €100. See traveldepartment.com. Irish owned and operated for over 25 years. Travel Department. Let's see more.
Donegal Hearing Clinic, now open at Pierce Road, Letterkenny and Buncrana, now offering state-of-the-art rechargeable hearing aids free with your PRSI. Also pain-free microsuction wax removal services. Call 07491 88470 or donegalhearingclinic.ie. Life sounds brilliant with Donegal Hearing Clinic.
Welcome to the Betway Handicap Hurdle. They're under starters' orders and they're off. Out in the lead early on is the favourite, Gaelic Runner, who is unbeaten in her last 3. Followed closely by the outsider, Oscar's Pal, who's failed to play so far this year.
Go on, Oscar's Pal!
So, who are you backing? Underdog or favourite? Visit betway.com or download the app. 18 plus T's and C's apply. Dunlewy.net. Bet the responsible way.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Discover Edinburgh this summer with Ryanair's 3 times weekly service. Stunning architecture, endless winding streets, and an awe-inspiring castle. Ireland West Airport. You're flying.
Okay, so a largely dry and bright day with sunny spells and just a few drizzle patches. However, it'll turn cloudier later this evening, becoming breezy as light to moderate southerly winds increase fresh to strong and gusty through the day. Temperatures today 8 to 10 degrees, but it feels very chilly out there. A caller says fuel stations putting up prices at night and reducing in the morning is greed on behalf of the garage owners, and the token from the government is useless to us, the public. I am lighting a fire now at 6 o'clock in the evening and using only 1 bucket of coal to heat the house. Normally I was lighting it at 3 in the afternoon for the children coming in from school. This is not enough, but I'm making them wear 2 jumpers in the house to keep warm. And that's following on from what are we doing to try and save some money. Government took tax off fuel, so it should come down straight away, but callers are saying that they already bought this fuel with the higher excise price. And when it runs out, they'll be buying fuel with the lower excise price, and that's where you'll see the saving. But as I say, it doesn't seem to work that way on the face of it when things are moving in the other direction. Right, okay. Kathleen Marley is joining us on the programme now. Hi, Kathleen.
Hello, Greg. How are you?
Nice to chat to you. Right, you are having a night on Saturday to raise funds for a really important service, the Mountain Rescue and Coast Guard. Why did you decide to host this? What's your interest in it?
Well, I am a hill walker, and I've been hill walking for years. I was in a club in Dublin for over 40 years, and I'm with the Swilly Hikers now in Letterkenny for probably maybe around 5 years. But I know that if we need rescuing, they're there to come. They don't think about it. They just go and help us. And I never had any problems on the sea, thank God. But I know the Coast Guards are equally as good, and they're ready to go all the time.
Did you say that you were rescued once, or at least were assisted by Mountain Rescue?
I was, that wasn't in Wicklow, and the Dublin Wicklow rescue team and the Glen of Amal, they came to help me out. I went into a hole and just the leg cracked, and it was broken in 2 places. But the rescue, they came up to me. They couldn't land the helicopter because there was too much wind. So the fellas and girls came up by foot, and they were just so professional, and they worked on me right away and got me on a stretcher and carried me, I don't know how far, to a Land Rover, got me down to an ambulance. Listen, do you know what? You couldn't buy that.
Mm. And you know what? That's what they do, but there's so much more to it, because they often fundraise themselves for all their gear, for their equipment, their vehicles. They have to maintain the equipment. After they rescued you and you were safe, they had to go back to base, clean down all the equipment so it's available for the next rescue. You know, there's an awful lot involved in this type of volunteering outside of kind of what we would, think, right, they turn up, they save you and away they go. There's so much more to it as well, Kathleen. You appreciate that. Now, you had a big enough birthday last year. You didn't get to celebrate it, but I've been told that. But this is not a birthday celebration for you on Saturday night either. Can we not even sing happy birthday to you? No?
It's all about mountain rescue and Coast Guards, not about me. It was last year.
But sure, you couldn't celebrate it last year.
I know. Well, the family celebrated with me, and fair play to them. They did it good. Everybody with masks on.
Right, of course. Now, it's Car's Party Night, but not birthday now. It's Car's Party Night in aid of mountain rescue in the Coast Guard. It's this coming Saturday at 8 p.m. Finger food, which is my favourite. I would almost take finger food over sit-down food. Finger food served at 9 p.m. Mark Boyce is providing the entertainment, and you're looking for supports and donations on night. You want people to have a bit of fun, have a bit of crack, and at the same time help the mountain rescue and Coast Guard teams. Yeah.
People were saying they had nothing to go to. Now I'm giving them a party to go to. And this isn't the Travellers in Milford.
Of course, that's the Travellers in Milford, a brilliant spot, of course, and it's quite central for a big part of the population. Kicks off at 8 p.m. Are you going to be doing any party tricks or anything? Do you sing a song, Kathleen? Or
told you it wasn't about me. No, I'll get other people to do that.
Okay, listen, brilliant stuff.
No, but you know what I have to say as well?
Yeah.
It's not easy asking for money, especially with the Ukrainian tragedy and all. But I'm just hoping to do the best we can, and I hope people will come. Well,
let me put it to you like this. As we try, and maybe if we have to pull in our belts a bit more, people might say, right, you know what's free? Going out for a walk, doing a bit of hill climbing, enjoying our and for us to do that, we do need people to be there in case something goes wrong. So this is a worthy cause, because we might be doing more, using the outside a bit more, and we need the likes of the Mountain Rescue and Coast Guard. Right, so it's Car's Party Night in aid of the Mountain Rescue Coast Guard. This Saturday night at 8 p.m, Finger Foods at 9, and Mark Boyce is providing the entertainment, and it is in Milford. The Travellers in Milford. Listen, enjoy the night yourself too. Have you got something nice to wear, Kathleen?
For letting me on to try and look for some support. Thank you so much.
No, good stuff. Listen, and enjoy the night as well. I'm sure you will.
I will indeed.
All right, take care, Kathleen. Bye-bye, Kathleen Marley there. We'll be back with a few comments to say goodbye after the break.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
At Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, we are now operating out of one new state-of-the-art showroom in Donegal Town. And we invite you to visit our new 5,000 square foot Donegal Town showroom to discover the latest eye-catching designs. Remember, at Cherrymore, you're dealing directly with the manufacturer, which means high-quality kitchens at factory prices. Start planning your dream kitchen or bedroom by calling Cherrymore on 074 9725 822. Cherrymore, 25 years delivering value, quality and service all over Ireland.
New this week in Home Store and More. All toilet seats are half price. But better hurry, because when all our half price toilet seats are gone, they're gone. Also, all wall mirrors and clocks and all frying pans are still half price. But when all our half price wall mirrors and clocks and all our half price frying pans are gone, they're definitely gone. Order online before 2 p.m. for next day delivery, or drop by your local Home Store and More. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Big plans won't mean big repayments with a home improvement loan from Inishowen Credit Union. Whether you're converting the attic, changing the kitchen or doing work to the garden, talk to us today. With rates starting from 6.18 APR, no hidden fees or charges and fast loan decisions, we have the perfect loan for you. Apply online at inishowencu.ie or call us on 93-61017. Membership of Inishowen Credit Union is open to anyone who lives or works in the Inishowen Peninsula. All loans are subject to approval. Terms and conditions apply. Inishowen Credit Union is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Farmers to be paid to increase fodder supplies. For more in your Farmer's Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
As costs and farms soar, Minister to seek multi-million euro emergency package for farmers. Farmers will be paid to grow red clover and multi-species swords. plus new supports for tillage farmers, and we reveal what your cap payment will be in 2023 and beyond.
And don't miss 6 pages of analysis on what the war in Ukraine means for Irish farming inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal, on sale now.
Okay, you're a bit early with that. My apologies. That's the news coming up for you at 12. We'll get to that in a mo. But what we do want to do is get a couple of comments out before we get to that point. Government that took the tax off the fuel, so it should come down straight away, believes a caller there. Another, the rest of us farmers only get 2 cents off the diesel because Minister Charlie McConalogue used all the money to bail out the pig farmers, so no word of all the bumper years they had. That's one person's point of view there. Another here, Greg, in this country most animals, i.e. cows, calves and bullocks, are housed indoors over the winter. What do farmers do with the manure these days? Years ago, before there was artificial fertiliser, manure was all that farmers used to grow everything on their land. Now it's called slurry. Can Leo not save us? Can they not save any... Can they not use manure anymore, asks Mary. A good question I do not know the answer to, but I'm sure someone in the farming community will let us know. Hello, Greg. Coal also going up at least €3 per bag from Monday. Crazy situation. That comes in from a regular listener. Another, because we're a small open economy and over-dependent on exports, Greg, we're badly exposed to global events. That comes in from Patrick in Dunlow, indeed. Another, 2 stations in my area are $2.15 for diesel, $2.10 for petrol. There is no way the fuel was up that high to come down to those prices after the reductions. It looks like to me the garages are hiking prices to cover the costs. Where are the politicians today to find out what's happening? Well, we had a minister on. His response to the situation was, well, it better not be happening. If it is a case that they can't pass on these savings yet, well, then someone needs to explain that to us so we understand. We're just humans, we're consumers. All we can know and see is what is going on. Okay, thank you very much for listening. That's